talk is money, honey. All we talk is money. All we talk is money. It's like bees to the honey. Honey, money, honey, money, honey. It's the SOSCAST, baby.
Everybody, great to be here live from Valuetainment Studios. Welcome to the SOSCAST. I'm your host, Adam Sosnick. This is, take a look, the sexiest financial show you're possibly going to find in the world, certainly on the internet. Amazing panel, amazing guests. You know, sometimes we talk culture, we talk dating, we talk politics, we talk relationships. Today, all we talk is money. Yes. All we talk is money. If you don't, I said this earlier, get smarter, richer, wiser, money back guarantee at the end of the show. And it's not coming from me. It's coming from the Bitcoin billionaire, Rand Neuner out here. Because Bitcoin's on fire. We'll make it rain. Rand, go ahead, have some fun out there.
Nice.
Amazing show today, amazing guests. I already introduced you, so might as well introduce you. Rand Neuner's in the house, one of the biggest names in crypto. CNBC, you're the host of the Crypto Trader platform with a guy I kind of know pretty well, Adrian in the house. You now on YouTube have Crypto Banter, massive platform, and then you have Banter Capital. What's Banter Capital exactly?
Banter Capital is a crypto investment fund.
There it is. Crypto, crypto, crypto. All we talk is crypto. Rand Neuner in the house. Back with us again. Back in effect, like Rex in effect. He's probably too young to get that reference, but the kid's an absolute stud. Jordan Welch is back with us. Clap it up, Jordan in the house.
What's up, bro?
YouTuber, entrepreneur, absolute stud. You know how like professional athletes, like when they make it big, they buy their mom a house.
Yeah.
Jordan bought his mom a house. He didn't even dribble a ball
We love
one
that.
time.
Great job. Great
Thank
job.
you. Speaking of balling out, my guy Yinka's here.
Ooh, hello.
Yinka is, I don't know who's taller, Yinka or his last name, but they're both very long. Okay? Renowned CPA, personal finance expert, works with entrepreneurs, business, and also had a little game back in the day.
Oh.
Little jump shot.
Little jump shot. More post, more jump shot.
Jump shot for sure.
So you were like a small forward type?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Small forward, in the paint. Watch out.
You used to play ball?
I used to be a point
Adam
guard.
was nice too now.
I was nice back in the
were
day.
nice too.
Adrian, nice or no? Okay, almost.
Stop being nice.
Not the NBA, NBA almost. It's like, not Bud Light. There it was. Absolute studs that are in the house. But then we got some ladies.
Yes.
I said the sexiest show. We are so sexy. Such a sexy financial show. Women come on the show, they leave the show, then they end up like Astrid, pregnant
Yay!
with a money baby in the tummy. Right? Astrid, the first time you came here, I believe you were engaged.
Yes, I was newly engaged, and then now I'm having a baby.
Now we have it. Guys,
So.
I say this all the time. This is super controversial. I firmly believe, let me look in the camera. I firmly believe that only women can have babies. I know.
What?
These days, with the wokeness and the college campus stuff and what's going on, I'm going to take a stance. Adam Sosnick said it. I'm going to take a hard stance, hardline stance. This is a cancelable offense these days.
True
I
fault.
firmly believe that men can have babies and only women. Amy?
Say that.
Way too far, Adam. You're
We've
just
been trying to get me
you're
pregnant.
crossing the line.
What do you think, Amy?
I mean, maybe if you just go through a couple more rounds of IVF, I don't know.
It's not working for me. Spent a lot of money. But Astrid, FinTech Latina,
Yes.
now the pregnant, soon-to-be mama, baby mama, personal finance expert.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on the show.
I'm happy here. Speaking of beautiful women, my friend, this is me holding your hand. Hi.
Oh.
Hi, Marcel. Marcel Valle, my Brazilian princess, is in La Casa. Entrepreneur, networker, put together one of the sickest events in the Dominican Republic
Yes,
a few months ago. We had a great time.
we had an amazing time.
Awesome team. Amazing people. Brian, the whole team.
The house,
The house?
unbelievable.
The
From
yacht,
water.
the food,
The private jet.
the private jet.
Oh, she said the private jet. Okay.
But I
said it low.
flew, what do you call it? A Spirit Airlines. They all flew on the private jet. I said, I'll meet you there. But it was
Me
amazing.
too.
Everything. You too, that's right. But it's your first time here.
It's my first time here, and I'm
happy
super
to have you
excited.
here.
Thank you for having
Can
me.
we pull up Manect real quick, if we can get to that? Thank you, Malik. Last but not least, we've introduced the panel. Now we got the home team in the house. Amy, may or may not be related to Rodney Dangerfield.
May or may not be. It's under speculation.
Your grandma was down under. as
You
they
know
say,
what? She
Rodney.
was, yeah. I cannot confirm nor deny, Adam.
That's
That's
my
what
girl.
I'm going to say.
We had a great lunch today.
We did.
It was awesome.
We surely did.
You feeling okay?
I'm feeling great. Yeah. That's,
You know how like people like reveal a little too much? I said, Amy, do a little too much. Right? She's like, I thought I could trust you. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is a dating show, and I asked you for dating advice.
it's a money show
And did he
today.
give it to you?
Finance, finance and
Too
romance.
far. Okay.
Finance and romance in the house. But we could not do this show without the one, the only,
Thank you, guys.
the Natalia Del Valle
Howdy,
in La
hi.
Casa.
Hello, hello.
The baddie with a patty, who's a fatty.
What?
The Jamaican patty baddie.
I'm actually Guyanese, but I'll take it. I love Jamaica too.
But you do like Jamaican patties.
I do like Jamaican patties.
Anyway,
Happy
if you want to
SOSCAST
find,
Day.
go ahead, Nat. Let 'em know
Yes,
what's going
happy SOSCAST Day. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today's going to be really great conversation. We got some money topics. We've got some controversial topics. So make sure you guys stay in the chat. I know even Amy wanted to give a little bit of announcement for super chats because we want to get some chats from you guys. Amy?
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, remember you can interact with us on here. We're going to be reading super chats midway through. So, if you have a question, a money question for anyone on the panel,
Please.
or if you have a question you want to address to the ladies, feel free. We will read it, obviously, as long as it's at least moderately respectful.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
Not all the way respectful.
yeah, I mean,
Moderately respectful.
exactly.
We'll get you there. So
Better be
put
careful
some
with the
respect
chats.
on my name.
Telling them moderately.
Yeah, right?
That's
They're
right.
like, no, no.
By the way, you can
They be
connect with
crazy
us
sometimes.
on Manect. It's Vinny's birthday. Vinny has now
Yes.
officially passed me
Wow.
as the greatest Manector. I was first in the league for the entire time.
Damn.
Now I'm in third, fourth place, tied with PBD in the house. There I am.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, you even have 4.93 stars. Okay.
That's how good we are. I'm 4.93. I'm in
Okay.
fourth place.
Did somebody leave a 1 star or
Phenomenal.
something? How did it go
Listen,
from
I have
5?
another. What was that?
I said, how did it go from 5 to 4.9?
You know, some people
What happened?
lower their prices. It's a rigged system. They rigged their system. They saw that I was winning. They colluded again. They don't want Sosnick to be winning the net.
There's
They
always,
did.
there's
They
always
literally
somebody out
They
there.
did.
Tom's a multimillionaire is lowering his prices to $10.
Yeah.
$10. Where do you find the time? Tom told his kids, guys, I'm going to be away for the next 6 to 12 months just doing Manect. They're like, Tom, you're a husband, you're a father. Sorry, I got a Manect. Did I do that to my lady friends? No, I'm here for you.
My lady friend.
It's
No,
on
but
my-
you do put your Manette calls very priority. You're
Thank
like, you
you.
guys have to wait. I'm on a Manette call. Get out. I'm like, you're
I
very.
was like literally
very
walking
almanac.
onto a yacht
Yes.
on last Friday.
Yes.
They're like, dude, the yacht leaves in 5 minutes. I go, I have him a next call right now. They literally held the yacht for 15 minutes. For
Oh,
me.
wow.
Wow.
And then
Yeah. Adam, you're
Look.
for the people.
I'm for the people, guys. You can connect with us on Manect. But today's not about me. It's about you.
Yes.
And here are the stories we're going to be covering today with our all-star money panel. Real quick, shout out to Malik and Alejandra, the Ebony to my Ivory, the Starsty to my Hutch,
Yeah.
the Boricua to my Ballin' Out. I don't know. We're doing things out here. Alejandra's out there, and so is Malik. But here are the stories we're going to be focusing on today. And guys, I need your help.
Yes.
Jordan, absolute stuff. Rand, okay? Yinka, ladies. I want these guys and ladies out pregnant with knowledge, pregnant with money.
Oh, I love that.
I need to
Pregnant
teach
with
my
money.
baby.
Tell me
We
where.
got a baby. They say sing to the baby, talk to the baby.
Yeah.
Let's do that with the baby.
Oh.
Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to SOSCAST. Subscribe to Valuetainment. Subscribe to PBD Podcast. Unusual Suspects. Everything we do here. Join the fun. Now let's get going. Right now.
do it. Let's
So here
do
are the
it.
stories we're going to be covering today. Socialism, capitalism. What the hell's going on with Gen Z and young people? We'll have some. Amy's going to have some information on what's going on in Australia and in China out there. Gen Z, you're Gen Z. Jordan Welch, we need your
I
help.
think so. There's too many generations.
What's
No, no,
your-
no, no,
Claim
no,
it.
no.
Here we
Claim
go.
it.
Jordan,
So I'm
there's not too
1998.
many.
Yeah, you're Gen Z.
You're Gen Z. You're how old now?
97 is
25?
Gen Z.
26, yeah.
Wait,
26?
97
Yeah,
is Gen
Gen Z.
Z?
That's
Gen
when
Z.
it starts.
You're
I
one of
feel
the
like I'm
oldest
in
Gen Z.
between.
Wait, when
Oldest
are you
I'm
Gen Z.
97.
Oh, okay.
What year are you?
I'm 97,
Okay.
so.
We got a Gen Z
Okay.
panel over here.
No, I'm
Listen, I'm not
representing.
going to date ourselves. Some people here were graduating high school in 97 while you were a bit up in a belly. So we're going to talk about AI and how that's taken over and what they're going to be taking over jobs and what jobs they're definitely not going to be replacing and whose jobs they're not going to be replacing them from. U.S. economy, what the hell's going on here. Jerome Powell made an announcement this week. Inflation, interest rates, we'll talk about that. U.S. debt payments have now officially hit record high. It's insanity what's going on out there. The risk of a global recession, but we'll talk about that. Won't reveal it here. And we'll talk about what potential president will be better for the economy. We have some stats to back it up. Crypto, Bitcoin's back. We're going to single out our friend Rand here. We're going to pick his brain about what's going on there, the good, the bad, the ugly of crypto. But this is one of the more credible sources you're ever going to hear in the crypto space. And he's going to inform you guys. Like I said, money back guarantee. Then personal finance. I need Yinka to step up. I need Jordan to step up. I need Asher to step up. I need you to step up because I owe you some money, I think. I don't know. 85% of high schoolers want a financial education, but they ain't getting it. 43% of Americans don't know, como se dice, what a 401k is. Say what? Yinka, we got to do better. Okay? And young men are blowing their money like never before. And by the way, we added a special story at the end. This is breaking news. Update on Andrew Tate's trial. You know that we did multiple interviews with him. Consider him someone that is a net positive for society. Want to get your guys' perspective on him. You guys had a little something a year ago. Nothing crazy.
While ago.
Yeah.
A while ago.
Yeah.
All right. But we'll do that. So first story. Alejandro, if you want to tee this up. Here's the first story. We've seen the debates on college campuses that's going on with Israel and Gaza. That's not where we're going on this. But at the center of that is genuinely a love for America and what it stands for, capitalism, and a distaste for what America stands against, which is socialism. And Gen Z, boom, not so much educated, more indoctrinated, all up in the middle of this. One of the greatest pollsters of our generation is a guy called Frank Lutz. And he sat down via Zoom, like old school, 2020 vibes, and interviewed a bunch of Gen Zers, your people, about their thoughts on capitalism versus socialism. If you're not familiar with what valuetainment stands for, what PBD stands for, what we talk about here, we're kind of on team capitalism. We're kind of on team Captain America. But during this focus group, pretty shocking answers. What I like about this panel, while we're going to have this discussion, how many people here were born in America? Raise your hand. Okay.
Wow.
Born in America. How many people's parents were born here in America? Raise your hand. Okay. Where's your family from?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Where's your family from?
Mexico.
Mexico. Where's your family from?
Israel.
Israel. But you live
South Africa.
South Africa. Where's your family from?
Brazil.
Brazil. Where's your family from?
Guyana and Honduras.
That's that good tan right there.
Yes.
Jordan, your parents, your family?
They were born in America.
America first, y'all. That's what Jordan just said, y'all. Aimee?
Australia and Hungary.
Amazing. Does anybody here on this panel not love America? Great answer. Not love America.
Don't love America.
Okay, great. Let's have that discussion. You guys, where were you born?
You first.
Colombia.
Colombia. And we all know that you're the assassin from Akron, Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
That's true.
OHIO.
Okay. So Rand doesn't love America. Can we alert the immigration? Let's go. Rand, we're going to find out why. And we're going to find out if South Africa is doing it better than America. But let's get this clip started, and we won't pick on our good friend Rand, who's actually here to teach you guys. But you're pissing me off now, Rand. I can't even start the show. You know?
Happy to have a debate.
We have a Chilean right there that is coming for your neck. Anyway, political strategist Frank Lutz speaks with anti-American Gen Z that are from America. Let's roll the first second of the clip. This is on one of the biggest financial shows in the world, CNBC Squawk Box. Go ahead.
Socialism, because I think, frankly, capitalism is destroying our planet, where shareholders are going after profits at the expense of our environment, at the expense of the lives of humans.
Ultimately, capitalism is what makes...
Pause for a second. let's just put it on 1-0 speed because it sounded pretty fast. I'm going to point to who's speaking. The first person that spoke was the gentleman not at the top and not in the first from the left, second from the left in the gray shirt. You can see him in glasses. He was advocating for socialism.
Lucio?
Got it?
Lucio.
Yeah.
Lucio.
Okay.
Loose me. The next person, go ahead.
America, so sought after.
That's the bottom right guy.
It's why everybody wants to come
Jordan.
here, not the other way around.
Capitalism
Bingo, pause it.
encourages
It's why everyone wants to come here and not the other way around. PBD always uses the analogy, how can you tell what's a good restaurant? And people, like, just real quick, how do you tell what a good restaurant is?
The reviews?
The reviews? Go ahead, Astrid.
How many people are going to the
How
restaurant?
many people are going?
How many people are standing in line?
How many people are standing in line? Bingo, bingo. The person that hates America. It's exactly. How long of a wait? How long of a wait? How many people are in line to get into the restaurant? If you walk right in and there's nobody in line, probably not a good restaurant. Hey, there's a 2-hour wait. What the? That's America. Longest line in the world. How about you, Australia? Nothing?
Yeah, I would
Is
agree.
there a long line?
Penal colony.
Is there a long line to get into America? Because I heard people were just getting in every single
Damn.
day.
Oh,
I don't know.
dirty right
I heard there's a
now,
back
man.
door. I heard there's a back door. And
Great
I heard
point.
Looking like this.
Great point.
I heard that you can either wait in
build the
line
wall.
or
Let's
you
build
can
the wall.
just get in.
Right.
Get through it.
Yeah.
Awesome point.
Yeah.
Legal immigration versus illegal immigration. Great point. There is
Well,
legally
illegal immigration.
illegal immigration.
Illegal.
Why do you
Illegal.
court
What's
it?
that?
Why do you court
Rand,
it?
we're gonna get to Rand, guys. Hold
You
up.
can
let's
immigrate.
get to
Hold on,
Rand.
hold on. You can immigrate legally, and you need to pay a lawyer and come with a certain amount of money and go
Like
through
what I did, okay?
Or you can immigrate illegally and get a free hotel, a credit card,
$10,000.
$10,000. I mean,
Insane.
what kind of restaurant is this?
It's a restaurant that doesn't mind cleaning up slop every single night and then serving the best food. But continue with these interviews with these kids. Go ahead.
the exploitation of people. I think capitalism supports people who are already at the top.
I'm actually the son of Cuban refugees.
Top left.
So I understand
the guy at the top
firsthand how the dangers of socialism.
Bingo. Okay. So, this is, if you ask anyone 40 plus, capitalism versus socialism, what do you think the answer would be, Yinka?
It would probably be capitalism.
Okay. Jordan, your age, why do you think young people are so fascinated by this concept of socialism?
Because I think they've been brought up to hate the rich and have a distaste for people of power. And I think that they see it as an easy way to get money. If everybody has the basic income and I can get that, then I can just like scroll TikTok all day and still make money, you know? People is not building skills like they used to, you know, because they don't feel the need that they have to.
Amazing. We're going to have this conversation. You're from families from Mexico.
Yes, from Mexico.
So they go through having a socialist president, capitalist president, and they go back. Why do you think young people are so pro-socialism?
I think when you're young, you tend to lean more left, right? Socialism is obviously the more extreme left of the spectrum, right? And then you have democratic and then center and then, you know, all the other end. But I think they're so prone to that because when you're young, you know, the phrase, if you're not like democratic, you have no heart. And then when you're older, if you're not Republican.
When you're young, if you're not a liberal, you have no heart. When you're older and you're not a conservative, you have no brain.
Yeah.
By the way, I've just gone through that.
Yeah. But
big heart, no brain. Now, big brain, no heart. I'm trying to find the balance.
Yes.
I went from having empathy to having apathy. Now I'm just trying to have an appetite at the restaurant called America that Rand loves so much. Play the next clip when they talk about colleges and the indoctrination of our youth. Because, listen, guys, this might also be controversial. I believe that the children are the future.
Oh, great.
If you teach them well,
and let them
you
lead the way.
Lead the way. You have
Show
to
them
show them all the beauty
they possess
inside. What do you have to give them? A sense of pride. Rand, me and you, we're going to do a duet one day. Let's talk about what colleges are going on. Go ahead.
I was not surprised about the conclusion. Young people are always to the left. But when they use a word like exploitation, when they talk about corruption or greed, those send off bells to me, and I'm
speaking the bells of Wall Street.
Washington, D.C., that all this anger and all this frustration with the economy,
you talked about anger
no, it's
and
not good.
frustration.
No, it's not working for them.
Bingo.
And you better pay
Pause it right there. And you better pay attention to what he said. By the way, just real quick before we get to colleges, you're from Brazil.
Yes.
We've almost interviewed Bolsonaro.
Bolsonaro.
But now he's like literally on the run. And then they just re-elected someone that was in jail.
That was in jail,
Lula,
corrupted.
major socialist, almost communist.
Yes.
Very aligned with. What have you learned about being born in a potential socialist communist country of Brazil?
Well, Bolsonaro just gave us a little break from this whole way to be like a governor, and kind of they teach people that they can have like parties and have the basic, and that way they will be fine. So they just provide the basic, and then people feel good, because Brazilians, you know, I love my people, but not like all of them like to work hard. You know, we have beautiful beaches around, we have a lot of fun things to do, and we prefer, like, most of the people prefer to have the basic instead of like working hard.
Brazil?
To
Stop being so basic.
Yes.
It's a basic ass country. I'll tell you
Exactly.
something.
So they
ladies
like
in
the
Brazil-
government.
I was
the
gonna
ladies in
say.
Brazil,
Not basic.
Not basic.
Not
The
basic.
ones,
Not basic.
the ones that move here, the ones that move here because they learn what is,
Gotcha.
you know,
What
good.
you said that this gotta work. You know some of my two favorite words in the English language? I'm a big four-letter word fan, in case you haven't found out.
Oh.
Work and earn. That's the foundation of capitalism. So, Rand, what the hell's going on in South Africa? So, I know you said that you're not a fan of America. You're the only person that raised their hand. You know, when I think of South Africa, I think of the situation with apartheid, with the Dutch, the colonization, then Mandela gets out of jail, like 40 years in jail, I want to say. How long?
27 years.
27 years in there. I just added a few on for good measure because that's how I felt. This guy survived jail, gets out of jail, divorces his wife after years. Like, I can't do this shit. I can do jail. Married, that's a whole nother situation.
If you would have met his wife,
Yes.
you would have understood why he divorced her.
Makes sense. But what is going on in South Africa? Because I've seen some of the situation, the headlines, especially what's going on in the world today. And I was like, let me take a deeper look at what's going on in South Africa. And I was like, oh, it is way worse than I thought. It's in the top 3 countries that is unemployment is above 20%. It's a mess there. What's going on in your country?
So, first of all, I think don't just take the headlines, because the headlines are the tip of, you know, they always show the most sensationalist things.
Yep.
I'm not going to say it's a happy place. I think it's got a very complicated history, 40 years of apartheid, where there was real segregation between white and black. And then there was the change in, Mandela came out of jail, and there was a change in leadership. And they tried to merge the nation, but there was so much resentment from the people that were discriminated against previously that it was almost like, in a way, payback time. And so, because of all the things the white people did to
Sounds familiar.
the black people,
Yeah.
they became like reverse. You almost want to call it reverse apartheid.
Gotcha.
So if you were a white male, you couldn't get a job. You got a lot of, it was just the equality thing. Now, I'm glad to say that now, probably 30 years after that, we're starting to move forward, but it's going to take a long time. I mean,
Is it getting better or worse now with everything that's going on in the world, with this whole decolonization, intersectionality, critical race theory, oppressor, oppressed? And you might be saying, what a weird conversation to have during a capitalism, socialism conversation, but that concept is actually at the forefront of all of this, which is very ironic.
It takes time to heal the wounds of the past. We're 30 years later. The same political party has been in power for the last 30 years, which is the ANC, African National Congress. And I think that we're coming up to a very important election now at the end of May. And if they don't win the whole majority, I think that for the first time we can actually start becoming a real mixed country again, as opposed to a country that is run by the same party that fought for the rights of the black people against the white people, so to speak.
Okay.
So I think this is a telling election. There's an election coming up, a telling election.
With all the problems that South Africa's facing, I mean, America, we have our issues. South Africa's economic issues, social issues,
Ridiculous.
Way worse. So why not look at America as sort of like a beacon of hope, a shining city on a hill? What's your, I guess,
let's get into
negative attitude towards America?
Let's get into it. So I think the only time that you can comment about what one country is relative to another is if you've tried to live in both countries.
Okay.
And I'm not saying America's bad. I'm saying for me, America's not a great place to be, but for somebody else, it may be an amazing place to be.
What are the biggest downsides that you've seen in America?
Let me tell you about the downsides of South Africa, just so you understand my frame of references. Okay. Some days, 8 hours of no electricity. There's just no electricity. There's not enough power. They haven't maintained.
Some days, 8 hours. How many days a year?
Pretty bad.
Every day, I would say that 90% of all the days there is a disruption in electricity.
90%.
90%.
Even if you're in like a rich neighborhood.
Doesn't
Let me tell you, if the electricity goes out for 2 minutes while Gen Z's playing Xbox, World War III.
Let's say on 90% of all days there's an electricity interruption. It can range anything between 2 hours and 8 hours. Now you may think, okay, no PlayStation and no lights. It's not like that. Every single traffic light in every single street shuts down. Just imagine what the traffic would look like here if every single traffic light shut down. Imagine you had committed to being at a meeting, but the lights went, the traffic lights were out. What the hell would you do?
Yeah.
So we have problems in South Africa. But I for me, still find it a better place than the United States. Now, why?
Yeah.
I came to the United States because I came to the land of the free. They told me that if you come to the United States, this is the land of the free and it's the land of opportunity. And that's what I expected. When I got here, what I realized was it's the land of the free, but terms and conditions apply, and you need this permit, and you need this license, and you need to go through this bureaucracy. And when you do, you're going to be watched like an absolute hawk, because there is a culture to make sure that there's a very strong enforcement culture. And I just felt that it was the exact opposite of land of the free. And so to me,
enforcing what specifically?
Well, what were you doing?
Yeah.
Well,
what you doing, Rand?
Anything that you want to do in this country, you need a license or a permit. You'll agree with me? You can't do anything here without a license or a permit.
Do you think that's a bad thing?
And how does that differ?
To me, that's not land of the free.
But don't you think, would you want everybody to be able to have access to things instead of people having to go through the right pre-steps
I prefer like, I mean, I've seen real capitalism. I'm not comparing Africa to the US because the US has an amazing infrastructure. I prefer real capitalism where you can do what you need to do without a government deciding who's going to get a license and who's not going to get a license.
I don't think it's without government. I think it's less
to go to med
government
school, right? I want my lawyer to go to law school. What are you talking about? So what are you talking about? Could you give it like a real world example by chance?
Real estate license.
I mean, I think most countries.
Driver's license.
Most countries have a real estate
gun
license.
license. What's that?
You know,
Crypto exchange.
it's very tough for me it's very tough for me to pinpoint one thing. But I just found that to get things done here, you needed 1,000,001 different approvals, licenses, and stuff like that. Whereas in other countries that I've operated in, it was just much easier.
So Rand,
and much simpler.
I actually have a
now hold on. Yeah. Now I do believe that this country
Rand, just
has,
hold it on me.
I do believe that this country has the most opportunity.
Yeah.
I do believe that this country has the most opportunity for entrepreneurs because it has the most. Number one, has the most incredible infrastructure.
Okay.
Number two, it has the most people with money in the world in terms of a country that I've ever. Or population. So if you want to do things and you want to do things big, this is a great place to be because there's the most people in the world with the most infrastructure to be able to service those people, be it internet, the ability think about this. There's probably more people with fast internet in the US than any other country in the world. There's probably more people that have access to fast deliveries than any other country in the world. In South Africa, we don't have Amazon. I can't order this on Amazon.
So does Africa have the stuff that we have to do, like for pre-qualifications? No.
Do whatever you want.
But you guys lose electricity 90% of
But
your
that's
day.
do whatever you want.
Don't mix the two
Maybe that's why.
Don't mix the two
But
things.
isn't there like
One is-
high crime?
Don't
I
mix
gotta
the
ask
two
you a
things.
question.
That's South Africa,
Okay.
though, not
Yes.
Africa as a whole. So
So,
he's talking about South
I want to
Africa.
get your opinion.
Nigeria. I had an office in Nigeria. It was even
Your
worse.
family is from where?
Nigeria, and I grew up
Nigeria.
in
I want to
Nigeria.
ask you a question about
Nigeria is
Nigeria.
way worse.
But Rand,
Way worse.
Rand,
Way worse.
let's stay here, buddy. Thank you. What major country? I'm talking a country with, what would you define as a major country? Population. More than 50 million people?
You're missing the point.
No, hold on. You're going to miss the point in a second. Before we cut your mic, Rand. Just kidding. and I'm eliminating Luxembourg, Monaco, St. Bart's. Everyone's like, oh, I want to go to Sweden. Dude, there's 3 million people in Sweden. Oh, look at what Scandinavians doing. Bro, there's like 15 people in fucking Iceland. What are you talking about? In America, there's 330 million people. In China, there's 1.2 billion people. India just surpassed China, 1.3 billion people. Brazil, her country, how many people in your country?
A lot.
How many bad bitches in your country?
Stop it.
But, so when you're talking about major economic powerhouses, what country would you want to move to?
No one beats the United States.
I mean,
But wait.
So no, not but wait.
No, let me tell you.
Stay right there.
No, let me tell you.
Nobody beats the United States.
In terms of where you're at. But now I look at the trajectory. So
Go ahead.
For me, I look at the trajectory. And the trajectory, if I look at the US, the trajectory is down. And if I look at other emerging countries, the trajectory is up. I would argue right now that China, which had a very bad trajectory, is now on a...
But would you want to live there, though,
No,
in a communist country?
Hold on, I'm talking about...
Pull up that China story in a second.
Let's talk about another country. And I know you're going to say it's a drop in the ocean. Let's talk about Dubai. Let's see what Dubai has achieved in the last 10 years versus what the US has achieved in the last 10 years. Have you been to Dubai?
I have not been to Dubai. I know you guys were just in Dubai, were you not?
I'm saying...
Were you just there?
I'm saying...
You got stranded where? During a flood?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no.
But Dubai's a fake country. It's fake news. It's a fake country. It's sand that they built.
With a lot of money.
Okay, but go ahead.
I think that the trajectory in the United States is down, and the trajectory in other countries is starting to be up.
But
So
they're
you can rest on the fact that I'll give it to the founding fathers and everyone that went up to a certain point. They did an amazing job. They built an amazing country with an amazing education system, with an amazing infrastructure. But I don't think that that's the United States that's happening now. I think as someone who's well traveled and lived in many countries, I think that the trajectory of the United States now, if they carry on the way that they carry on we'll get to the reasons, but if they carry on the way that they're carrying on, that in 50 years, because remember, countries take a long time to destroy themselves and a long time to build themselves. But I think that if we have this discussion in 50 years and the US doesn't change trajectory, it doesn't look good.
Well,
That's the point. We're going to see what happens this October, but things are about to be polar opposite if things go our way.
Yes.
I'm telling you that 99% of people would completely agree with you in the fact that if we're able to change our leadership, we look weak to the rest of the world right now. We look weak.
It's a joke.
To a lot of, exactly.
It's
It
a
is
joke.
the butt of it. I'm from Australia. Trust me, I get it. My friends are always taking the piss. We're the butt of every joke. But I truly believe that America is so unique in the sense that it's a leader for the rest of the world. And if we're able to switch things up here, we're really going to be able to set an example that many other countries are going to follow.
I think you're wrong. And I'll tell you why I think you're wrong. And I'm going to bring it back to Dubai. And again, the only reason why I use Dubai is because I've been going there for the last 20 years and I've seen what they've managed to achieve in the last 20 years. And you can say it's play, and it's fake. The reality is what they've built in 20 years would take this country 400 years to build with the current leadership.
Sure.
Okay? There's advantages and disadvantages to democracy. And I agree with you. And I think that there's amazing advantages and disadvantages. But the one disadvantage of democracy is that you have to negotiate for everything and you can't get shit done. And that is where the United States is. Whereas in some countries, like in Africa and like in Dubai, they get shit done really quickly and it's good shit.
But if we didn't have a democracy right now, what would our current system look like? We would be stuck under Joe Biden's leadership. Democracy is so important for a country like America.
So this is another problem that I had with America. I came here because I thought that America was the bastion of equality and freedom and fairness and stuff like that. And I arrived here, and what I realized was that actually this place is really corrupt. And everything here is really, really, really corrupt. In Africa, everything's also really corrupt, but you know what? At least you know.
We're diabolical. We're more diabolical about it. And you know what? I agree. There's a difference between equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome. And right now, there's a lot of evil people who are pushing for equality of outcome. And there's a lot of diabolical means that they're going about to make that happen.
Let me just say one thing, and then you're going right to this. Rand, this is the problem that I had with the whole Sweden, Finland, Norway thing. What's the population of Dubai?
Oh.
Pull it up.
Rich people.
3 million people. I'm guessing 3 million people.
Right now.
But Dubai's one city in the UAE of maybe 10 million people. Talk to me when you have 100 million people. Talk to me when you have 300 million people.
I don't understand that argument.
What do you mean? 3 million people. Is it easier to move a country, A, Who runs Dubai? It's a king and queen, right? It's a king.
Yes.
It's a monarchy. Just a king.
The sheikh.
Women don't have rights there. They can shake that ass, but they can for the sheikhs. 3 million. So we have 330 million people here. Good luck.
Dubai is the size of Miami, South Florida. We have like almost 3 million
Exactly.
people.
I'm not arguing in terms of size.
But I'm saying, but I am arguing in terms of size.
Well, the quality of life.
Here's what I agree with you. Trajectory of the United States,
You're not achieving a lot. You're not achieving a lot.
questionable. But don't compare Dubai, that's a fake city on
We're
a fake
only
hill,
talking-
to an actual shining city on a hill.
We're talking about
Shout out to
we're
Ronald
talking
Reagan.
about trajectory.
I'm with you,
As an
but
outsider, have you read Ray Dalio's books? Have you looked at how Ray Dalio says that there's a collapse of an empire every couple of years, and that changes the
Every
currency?
100 years?
Yes.
And he looks at all the stats as to where the United States has
But that's
been the
different from where you would want to live, though, because they're going to
Yeah,
say
go ahead,
China.
Astrid.
So basically, to your point, yes, U.S. is not overdue to fail, so to speak. But again, China is surpassing us in terms of like economic GDP, et cetera. So I get what you're saying in terms of trajectory, but socially, quality of life, would you really want to live in China versus U.S.?
Rand?
Anyways, back to this topic though of Gen Z, why they're focusing on socialism versus capitalism. My only comment to that is I totally understand. I mean, look at it right now. Our economy is, to me, crap. The inflation's at an all-time high. We're in $34 trillion of debt, more than what we were actually economically putting out, right?
Good trajectory.
But
Great
listen, no.
trajectory,
But
yeah.
my point is, though, so socialism involves getting the government more involved and saying, hey, the government is going to have kind of oversee everything, make sure that everyone has like universal basic income, like, divvy up resources.
Healthcare, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, healthcare, et cetera. And while I definitely having a baby, I will say healthcare is terrible. Like, I was told, it's so funny, by an Uber driver who lived in Germany. He's like, yeah, you can't get fired if you go on maternity leave. They actually pay you a certain stipend up to whenever a kid's a certain age. Anyways, don't quote me on that.
Birth
but
is free? No, it's
yeah,
true.
birthing
And
is free,
A
yeah.
lot of places have socialized healthcare, same in Australia.
But I
girl.
will say, aside from that, do we really trust the government currently to, if we were to move to a more socialistic like environment, do we trust the government right now to do so? No.
no, because everyone will end up equally poor. They're all solving for equality. What do you always say? Go ahead, give your line.
Oh, it's just, I mean, we said it before. There's the huge difference between equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome.
Yeah.
And
then
one,
with
one
all
of them
these-
is evil and diabolical, and one of them is just how nature and life and societies naturally occur.
Yinka, what do
is
your
it
people?
evil?
What do your people tell you out there in Nigeria? Your experience. You want to move back to Nigeria? Or you want to stay in America?
I mean, I would definitely love to move back to Nigeria, but
What is happening on this boat? You showed it.
but I'm talking
Yes.
from a position of
Yes.
privilege, right? Because I wouldn't be starting from ground zero in Nigeria. I'd be taking my
Right.
resources from here
Great
to
point,
Nigeria. So
thank
it's
you.
very, very different for me to move to any country for that matter. I could move to Brazil or
Yeah.
Argentina. I would not be starting from the regular ground roots of
You would be
Argentina.
pulling a Drake and start from the bottom.
Right. I would not.
Now you're here in America.
So it's,
Go ahead.
it's a different transition. But I have to touch on a couple of things real quick. I think the equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome issue is not really as simple as good and evil. It's a perspective difference. The younger generation feel as though the system in place doesn't treat everybody equally. And what they mean by that is that if there's an ability to generate wealth, why is there so much poverty? Why is there so much homelessness? So these issues are not tied to some evil person behind the scenes trying to balance the scales artificially, right? But you call them Gen Z, whatever you want to call them, they may have an issue that's legitimate. You could disagree with their approach. Now, capitalist society, socialist society, I have news flash. The United States is not 100% capitalist society either. We have a lot of socialist type
Yeah, we have
activity.
social
I was
security.
about to
We
say,
have a
I get
mixed,
it.
most
Here's a
countries have a
social
mixed
se-
economy,
when
but
we
that's
started-
different.
Even China, that is the communist, the CCP,
right?
It's capitalism to make money,
right?
But communism to spread the money. I get
Exactly.
it.
So
Nothing's 0 or 100. Totally
so it's
agree.
always about the equality
But the
component.
foundation here is still capitalism.
For sure.
Do you believe that the U.S. is a truly capitalistic society?
What do you mean truly?
Capitalistic.
More than 50%? Yes.
Do you believe
Is it
that it's a-
100%? No. What society is 100%.
Yeah.
Laissez-faire economics, Adam Smith, what have you.
Right.
No economy can operate like that because we need to help the people at the bottom, social safety net.
Right.
But we're not Brazil, which is full-on communist at this point.
Right.
We're not Venezuela, that is
Yeah.
straight up the worst
up.
country in the Western Hemisphere. So let's have a little perspective.
And South Africa has a big disparity too. South Africa has one of the worst income disparity, where a small population of people own majority of the resources. So you could play different ways and say, okay, can I live here because there's more opportunity because I don't need a license? But those safety nets happen for a reason. This is the socialist component that we don't talk about because we don't like to hear that word. But when the government's telling you need a license for something, when they're giving you permits for something, it's bureaucratic, but it's
When the
for
government-
safety.
So what are you
When the
guys talking
government-
about? Because
when
you
the
both brought
government
up
is
the licensing
taking-
thing. What is an example of the licensing that you're unable to get here versus you being in Africa, in Nigeria, or in South Africa?
Well-
could you guys provide me like one example,
As
please?
I'll give you an
Come
easy
on,
one.
you could-
Maybe
And
it's
help me out
crypto
if I'm missing a point.
My two African friends, go ahead.
Basic retail is straight to market in most African countries. You don't need to have a license or permit to sell certain things. Basic
Anything.
resale. You can just open your shop, get your goods and services, and sell it. Right? You don't
But
need
you
the government to
trust
give you a
that? Here I
license.
As
go
long as
to-
you can
Yeah.
afford
Just
rent
that?
and you have goods to sell, you
Yes.
can just
Are
start
people
selling.
that-
And you have
Here I go to a
buyers.
barbershop. Here I go to a barbershop and I get my hair done in a
GDP
barbershop,
of
and
the
he
world
needs to
versus
have
Africa.
and he needs to have a license.
I hope so. They're
Okay,
about to
but-
cut your hair.
But again, where would
A
you?
license.
Yes, but you don't think having
So-
that
so-
sense
so-
of
so I-
security before trusting somebody to
You know,
like
they
goods
say there's a
from
famous quote
or
out there.
invest is
If you want to
important.
cut your hair, you got to pay your fare.
Right.
That's
so,
how it works.
Stop
so
it.
Rand-
Yes.
I feel Rand's frustration. I understand it.
I don't.
But I have to say though,
Yeah.
I have to
I
say,
don't.
I'm
I don't
confused by
understand
it.
that.
I'll tell
For
you
me-
why.
Yeah, go ahead.
But he's the
The
only person
ease-
here that doesn't live in America.
Go ahead.
the
So-
ease of entry and the ease of a business person in the market seems to be more streamlined in African countries. However, there's a risk. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you go get your hair cut in an African country and you,
want
have
the
a
government to
breakout of
protect.
rash,
You want the government to
Getting
protect
right.
rash.
You
That's
have a
socialism.
you have
No,
a breakout
it's
of
not.
I
You
don't
can't
want-
compare that to
Don't
anything
make me
happening in
bust out
China.
GDP per capita
Wait.
in all these countries.
Wait,
Sue their
but I'm
ass.
saying
Don't make me
that
do
take
this.
their license
the permit
away.
system may be beneficial because it gives protection.
Yes.
If you cut your hair and
Yeah.
you break out in a rash, and your friend does the same thing next week and he breaks out in a rash, and everybody breaks out in a rash, who's making sure that that entity
Yeah.
That's
is
land of the free, though.
Guys,
but again,
guys,
land of the
stop
free.
it.
But how
Stop
free?
it.
How free?
Okay, listen. No disrespect.
Right.
We're not worried about breaking out a rash in Africa when you're getting a haircut. We're talking to break out an Ebola rash.
Right.
What is happening?
Yeah. Come on.
Tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Come on. That's not true. That's not true. I mean,
Rand?
you're taking the most
GDP
rural...
per capita. Here we go. Hold on. This is GDP per capita. This is just in Africa. I can't believe I'm comparing United States
Africa's
to my African brother in here.
2000.
Punch in a little bit. What GDP per capita is the highest country in Africa?
No, but
highest
you can't take
Egypt?
It. Look, I'm not.
It
don't
says
compare
Egypt
to
has
Africa.
the high-
Look at
No,
the
this is
trajectory.
per continent. This isn't it.
That's
Keep
the
it moving.
right there.
We got to go per country. So United States, as a major nation, has the highest GDP per capita in the world. It's not even close. If you want to go to African countries, in my opinion,
you can't compare. You
What-
can't compare. But there is
What do you mean
no
you can't
comparison.
compare?
There is no comparison.
that's the whole point
That's
of GDP per
what you're
capita,
You can't
Rand,
really compare,
is to
though.
compare.
It's like the major corporations of the world are over here. And
Yes, you can't compare that.
it's-
But look at the trajectory. Look at the trajectory of
You
other
want to talk
countries.
to me about the? Hey, in 50 years, you know,
You're gonna get
Tanzania
finally
is gonna
above
be there.
negative.
I'm talking about now, motherfucker.
Yeah,
well,
but
you
you
can
have to
compare.
be forward
Here's the thing:
thinking,
you can
know?
compare. But the
Would
question
you
is, what are you
invest- would
comparing?
Would you
right?
invest?
Exactly.
If you had,
What do you
if you had,
compare?
You
hold on.
guys are comparing to our current
But
by
it's
the
a
way,
quality of
let me
life.
say
That's
one
the
thing,
reason why
and then we
shows
gotta
like
go to
this
the next
exist.
topic. Here's the beauty of America. I understand if you're living in California, dude, regulation, taxes, homelessness, crime. So you can move to Nevada.
Florida,
You
right?
can move to Montana. Oh, you don't like what's going on in New York? Move to Florida, just like everybody's done. But in Africa, oh, you don't like what's going on in the Ivory Coast? Where are you moving,
Don't
bro?
compare to
Out of
Nigeria.
Africa.
Don't compare to Africa, but go live in Dubai. And I know a lot of Americans, true capitalists, have said, "Hey, I don't want to play."
But like he said,
I don't wanna
women's
play-
rights as a woman.
I
would
don't
I
wanna
go
Why
play-
to
don't you move to
Dubai?
China?
I don't want to play with
Yeah.
all
Move
the
to
rules.
China.
I'm going to go to somewhere better.
When you
And
go
they
to
went to Dubai.
Here's what's going on in China, by the way. Here's an article that happened in China. Oh, China, you don't pay your debt? They say in China, the Communist Party of China, run by our friend Xi Jinping. Here's an article right here. China's punishment for people with bad debts. You can't go nowhere.
Oh.
No trains.
Exactly.
No planes.
This is
no
such an
automobiles.
under-exaggeration
No
as
nice
well.
hotels. So this is what's going on in China. Is when you don't have a democracy and you have an authoritarian dictator or you have a monarch, like in certain countries in the world, like you've mentioned, yeah, they're just saying, yeah, you ain't doing shit, buddy. Period. At least in America, you have bankruptcy, you have the opportunity to start over. You have the credit card consolidation. There's options for you. In China, here's the story right here. The social credit system, which you can talk about in a second, is legally enforced by Xi. Here's a one-story case example. Quinn, factory worker, $40,000 in debt. What's their monthly salary? $400. GDP per capita in China is like 10 grand a year. The GDP per capita in America is like 60 grand a year.
Yeah.
We're wealthy. Now, you can be wealthy and waste all your fucking money, which we're going to talk about in a second. We're $34 trillion in
Wait,
debt.
you have the same system.
But we're
You have the
facing,
same thing. It's
they're
called the-
facing daily harassment from debt collectors, and she can't move anywhere, this particular person.
You have the same
What have you
How do
learned
we
about-
have the same
What
system?
have you learned
It's
about?
called the credit.
No,
It's called the credit score.
Yeah, no, we have ESG, but that's completely
you have-
different
hold on,
because we have
Rand.
a constitution to
What-
protect
what-
against
you've
that.
done
The
this-
social credit system
go
in
ahead.
China is one of the most destructive things. Like it's essential. It's like an episode of Black Mirror. Have you guys seen the episode of Black Mirror where you lose points based on your social
You
interactions?
think we don't have a social
You
credit
literally,
system
if
in
you
America?
You have the same thing. It's
we
called the
have
credit score.
ESG, but it's
No, it's
it's
called the
completely
It's about
different than
FICO
social credit.
score.
No,
Yeah,
the
you have
social
a
credit
credit score at the
system
bank.
affects everything you do. If you are smoking on a train, if you watch too much porn because they're able to track all your stuff, if you literally,
we
if you
use Google
associate
there?
with someone who has a low credit system,
co-
your own social
Hold on,
credit
don't
score
compare to China.
literally
Can I ask you a
drops
question?
simultaneously.
Can I ask you a question?
What's
Can I ask you a
like-
question?
Sure.
If you arrive in America, which is the land of the free, and you have $1 million in your pocket, and you want a credit card, so let's just assume that a person comes here and says, I want to come to the US. I have $1 million because I was very successful in Nigeria, where I came from. And I've arrived here. I got $10 million. And guess what? I want a credit card. Can you get a credit card?
That has nothing to do with the
I'm
social
not-
credit
I'm not-
system.
Whoa,
I'm
whoa,
sorry.
whoa,
No,
whoa.
I'm very sorry, but
Why
you.
the hell would you need a credit card if you have $10 million?
Because you want
And
to spend
also,
a
that's
credit card.
completely irrelevant to what we're
Because you're doing
talking
the
about.
classic thing.
You're
man.
avoiding the question.
No, because I'm running
you're
straight.
avoiding the question.
I'm running straight into the wall because people in America have been brainwashed to be so obsessed with their credit score.
Yeah.
Fuck your credit score.
And listen, no,
be
no, no.
more concerned. Shut up, bitch. Sorry about that.
Wait,
Just
what
kidding.
happened?
Just kidding. Just kidding. People need to be more concerned with their net worth. Not their credit score. And this is the problem
Let
you
me
guys are
finish
all
my
doing.
point. Adam,
This
say that
credit
again,
score
Adam, say that again,
fantasy.
Adam, say that again.
The fact you're
People need to be more
conflating-
concerned
Adam, I
with
beg
their
you.
net worth,
I beg you.
not their
Let me
credit
finish my
score.
point. Let me
So
finish
you
my
and your
point.
$10 million,
No, let me finish my
worried
point.
if you have a 719 or a 790
Let
credit
me
score
finish my
is
point.
retarded.
Let me
you have
finish my
$10 million.
point.
Who gives a shit?
Let me
You're buying
finish-
everything cash.
No, let me finish my point.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Friend, you're
so-
not letting anybody else finish their point.
Let me finish my point.
Call my
Let
friend
me
Amy a bitch.
finish my point.
It's
For the third time
completely
today.
irrelevant.
So, if you don't have a credit score, you can't get a credit card. Okay? If you come from another country and you want to come here and you're wealthy and you want to get a bit of a mortgage on your house, there is a law that says that you can't get a mortgage unless you've filed 2 tax returns. Okay.
Okay.
How is that land of the free?
What's
Wait,
that got
then
to do
how
with
are all
social
these
credit?
how are all
You're
these
not
countries
bad.
buying up land
Hey,
in
no,
here?
can I ask you a
Here's the
question?
question.
Wait,
Here's the
let me
question.
ask you a
Here's the
question.
Hold on.
Can you
Guys,
still buy the
hold on.
house
Amy,
if you
hold
had the cash to pay for it?
Yes, you
That
can.
is
And
the
that's what a
freedom you
lot of
have.
these foreign
What was
countries
your
are
question?
doing.
He
They're coming
says you
in.
need
And
2 tax returns and X right to get a mortgage. But the question is, can he still buy the house if he had the cash to
Yes,
buy
and
it?
he would have
And
the
the answer
house.
is yes.
In any
So that's
country,
what. No, that's
Well,
not true.
except
Not in any
South
country.
Africa,
You can't go to China and buy a
listen,
house.
Why
I-
are you conflating the two? They're two
So-
completely different things. In America, can you can you jaywalk, for example, without being penalized on a social or
In some
political
states.
level or
In some states.
legalistic level?
In some
Not
states.
really.
Rand,
No,
You're
it's
missing
a
the whole
completely-
point.
You're conflating.
Guys, this is the final point because we're moving
conflating.
on.
Yeah,
Here's the
go
final
on.
point. You go to get a credit card in South Africa, you go to hit apply, and the power goes out for 8 hours. Reloading, revisit tomorrow. Nice try, Rand. Next topic.
Wow.
This is so
Rand, you should have
You'll
told him
dominate
that.
Next
the
topic.
crypto.
You should
The
have told
US
him about the
The
power.
U.S. economy.
Yes.
The U.S. economy. Let's bring it down a second. Hi, guys. Let's bring it back. Great to be here.
Make sure to
U.S.
subscribe.
economy. Our friend Jordan Welch is here. Our friend Yinka's here. Astrid's here. Marcel's here. Our anti-American friend
You're
Rand
going
is
to bring
here.
up the
I
economy
love
after
Rand, though.
trying to defend the U.S. following right after.
We're talking the U.S. economy. There's some good, the bad, some ugly.
Yeah, you gotta talk
So
about it.
here's what's going on in the U.S. economy, and we'll have a political conversation which I'm sure some people will engage in and some people will duck out because they're not American.
Oh, yeah.
So the U.S. economy, the election's coming up. There was a famous guy named James Carville, who was Clinton's administrator. He said, the most important thing is it's the economy, stupid. I believe we have an image of that. Moving on. Jerome Powell, the Fed expected to keep interest rates higher for longer amid stubborn inflation. Do we have this article that we can show? Bingo.
Second.
So the Fed expected to keep interest rates higher for longer, because inflation isn't cooling. Meanwhile, high inflation is costing American households an extra $1,000 a month. Here it is, $1,000 a month. You can show the Jerome Powell thing as well. So $1,000 a month means the following. An extra $227 a month is what it was a year ago, and now it is $1,000 a month versus 3 years ago. So before the inflation crisis began. It was $227, now it's $1,000. Basically, things are getting more and more expensive as they go up. The consumer price index rose 3.5% from last year. This all comes down to housing, gas, and food costs are the primary drivers of inflation. Rent is up 5.7%. Food prices are up 21% since 2021. The American economy under Joe Biden, Bidenomics, is an issue. On top of that, can we go to that visual capitalist, U.S. debt interest payments? Rand, this sort of validates my biggest concern about America. All right? Our interest payments have now reached $1 trillion.
Damn.
Okay? Show the chart if you can. So driven by high interest rates and record 34 trillion mountain of debt, 34 trillion total. A lot of it happened because of the pandemic. The debt servicing costs surpassed defense spending for the first time ever this year. The U.S. national debt is growing $1 trillion every 100 days. If you punch in, you can see where it skyrockets all the way to the right. That is during COVID. $1 trillion every 100 days. So in a year, that's $3 trillion in debt. Insane. 3.6 to be exact. Debt payments have exceeded Medicaid outlays in 2023, one of the government's largest expenditures. And here's the final point. The U.S. spent $2 billion a day on interest just last year. A projected $12 trillion over the next decade. That's a very scary stat. Here's actually some decent news. If you want to talk about a global recession, not necessarily American, little
Everyone
happy
looks
ending
so
right
guilty except Brand.
What's that?
Everyone looks so like guilty. And
Yeah,
Rand's
it's
like,
difficult 'cause
Rand's like,
like-
see?
The risk of a global recession is
trash the
minimal,
country.
It's okay,
says
we
the
still love the
IMF
country.
expert. Do you have that stat? The risk of a global recession is minimal, and it would take a lot to derail. So basically, don't expect a global recession anytime soon.
What's the source of that?
This is from the IMF, from the International Monetary Fund. They said, quote unquote, we do the risk assessment around the baseline that the chances we would have something like a global recession is fairly minimal at
Do
this
you think
point.
if it was coming, they would tell you?
This is from the
I
IMF.
don't
This
think
is
it's
from the
coming.
government.
You can't.
I think they're right.
But
I don't think it's coming.
Anyway, there's a lot going on. We got Joe Biden basically canceling student debt. He forgave $6 billion of student loans for 317 art students, who are running around using their woke DEI degrees.
Sure, there's no
and he's
CPAs
talking about
and
shrinkflation.
Doctors in that list?
What's that?
No CPAs or doctors getting the student loans?
Unfortunately, no, just art students. So it's the economy, stupid. The Fed with Powell are keeping inflation, keeping interest rates higher for longer amid stubborn inflation. Inflation is costing American households $1,000 a month. U.S. debt payments reach $1 trillion. But the good news is no global recession. A lot going on. Those are headlines. Thank you, Alejandro, for that. Meanwhile, we'll get to some stats out there with the president and the election and what they're saying in a second. Jordan, of all these situations that are happening right now, the interest rates, stubborn inflation, $1,000 a month, U.S. $1 trillion monthly annual debt payments, global recession potential, what concerns you the most?
Well, I mean, there's two things that come to mind. One, it's that Rand's kind of right. If you look at the trajectory of this country, there's a risk that we might bounce back in the wrong direction in due time. So for me, having a business, having a family and stuff, it's smart to try to like position yourself in other countries too, just in case. You don't want to just have all your chips over here in one basket, because, you know, I'm 26, right? So I've been around in good times, but I wasn't around when the Great Depression came around. I wasn't around when massive wars were happening. So we have to understand that those days can come again, especially if that's
we should have
the
been
stat
buying
line
homes
that you're telling me right
in
now.
8th grade.
And it also really scares me that our economy is so strong right now. Bitcoin going all-time highs, S&P hitting all-time highs, but then you're telling me those things. I'm not an economist, but it doesn't make any sense to me at all how that's possible, except for manipulation to the money system.
So, if you've made some money, you're 26 years old, you've done well for yourself, you could move anywhere. Are you saying if things got bad in America, you would move out of America?
I'd at least like to have another passport or two, and all the richest, most successful people I know would agree with me on that.
Okay. Where countries would you move to instead of America?
I mean, Dubai's not a bad option as a business owner. Having something in South America is also not terrible. Not to have your business located there, but just to live there. Like Argentina is pretty good for me. Also, Uruguay's pretty nice. I've seen Punta del Este, which is also a tax haven, a super nice place. A lot of rich people stash their money over there. There's many places that you can live. I love America, and I would love to live here for the rest of my life. But it would be foolish if you have millions of dollars or even a couple $100,000 to not get a second passport.
Gotcha.
That would be a mistake.
And have you gone through any outlets or channels to get a second passport?
Yeah, I'm working on getting my Argentine passport and a Dubai visa as well.
Now, how do you get your Argentinian passport? Or you said Dubai?
Yeah.
How do you go about that?
Well, the Dubai one is, I got some good friends over there, and I'm doing some stuff, so we're getting that going on. And the one in Argentina is just through lawyers, and I'm going to invest my way into that one.
So how much does it cost to invest your way into Argentina?
It depends.
What's the range?
Well, we have to buy a property, so it depends on which property I buy.
Gotcha.
But that's not the case for the majority of the world or America. Like we're talking about if you have millions of dollars, but do most people have millions of dollars? No. So it's like we have to speak from the perspective of the average American and why they feel these frustrations. Because again, right now, getting an education, they'll say get a degree and then you'll be able to land a good job. Well, the degree costs way more than the job you'll probably land, right? As someone who works a 9 to 5. On top of that, the economy's doing great. Yet all these tech companies, for instance, because I work in tech, are cutting off a bunch or laying off a bunch of workers because that's how they cut costs. The best way to cut, or the easiest way to cut costs, is to get rid of employees. So there's just all these factors that I don't think we're really paying attention to that the average American is seeing when they go to the grocery store. Like my bill all of a sudden is on average $40 more every time I go to the grocery store. And I think my frustration personally lies back to the original question, is the debt of our country. It's like how our government is spending its money. Like a bill just passed, $95 billion going to foreign countries like Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan. Again, I don't know the specifics of it, but it's like, how much more money are we giving to foreign countries? I know there is some purpose to that as an extent, but at this point it's like 95 billion. No, not just 1 billion, but multiply that 95 times. Like how can that be able to solve problems in our communities, in our country? For instance, why can't we fix the poverty level, homelessness? Like here's a bright idea. Why don't we teach these homeless people skills to actually build homes, build infrastructure, etc. I mean, I know not everybody is mentally there being homeless. That's why they're probably homeless. But at the same time, it's like there's a lot we can do and invest in our country that I'm frustrated we're not.
Can I ask you a question there? Do you not think that the politicians are doing some kind of calculation where, for example, if the politicians are helping Israel, do you not think that they may be doing it because maybe there's a chip manufacturer in Israel, which is very, very, very key to the United States?
You mean in general? I actually think it's more personal than that. I feel like you have politicians, you have people in the government, the president, who have vested interest because they are personally benefiting off of it. Now, like you said, there are, we have an alliance obviously with Israel. We have, there's other foreign, us being a part of foreign interests is important. I get it. But I'm just saying, if we were able to dole out 95 like how many packages of aid have we just easily signed off? And then again, you see the problems in America and you're just like, wait a minute, I can't even afford to put food on the table for my family. I'm not saying like,
but maybe it would get a whole lot worse if you didn't.
95 billion
let's use Israel,
on top of
let's use Israel as an example.
Can we put up a stab of how much money we've sent to Israel or Ukraine over the past few years? Like, is nobody
we've
recognizing
sent
it?
More money to Ukraine in the last 2 years. Ready? Ready for this?
No.
Then in the entirety that Israel has existed since 1948.
Jeez.
The entirety of Israel.
Yeah.
So, and for me, you know, when the 2008, when the Great Recession happened, do you remember the number that it cost for Obama to bail out the banks? You'll probably remember this. Do you remember the number?
I don't remember the number anymore.
It was like $800 billion.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Okay? But these days,
we're just printing
it's like,
that out.
hold my don't use millions anymore. We're not using billions anymore. Like, I'm thinking of this 95 billion. As you're saying this, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, that's a lot. And then I realize, bro, unless it starts with a T for trillion, this shit don't matter.
But I think
it's that ridiculous.
I think you need to go back to your capitalism.
That's not the stat to even show.
Oh, this is the other one. But my point is, it's like, again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't send anything to anybody. My point is how money is being managed by our government, and instead of investing in our own country and in our own people to make, you know, housing more affordable. I'm thinking about buying a house in the next 1 or 2 years. And now I can't, even in an area that I thought, I moved out of California. I'm from LA. So I moved out of California. My mom wants me to move back because I'm having a kid. She wants to be near her grandkid. But the lifestyle that I would want, I can't afford in LA. And I make pretty good money, and so does my husband. So it's one of those things where, unfortunately, the goalpost keeps moving. And it's like, well, it seems to be like we're just printing money like crazy. And the joke is, like, if you tell finance bros, like, oh, just print more money. At this point, it seems like that's what the government's actually doing.
Do you think that if the government never helped Israel or Ukraine, that you
I'm
would
not
be
saying
able
they
to...
shouldn't help at all. I'm saying how much we are helping is ridiculous. Do you not agree with that?
No.
No.
No,
You
not
think we
at
should
all.
send more?
I'm not getting involved into where you're sending your money to. Because I don't agree with where the money's going to, and I have my personal opinions. But I do think that there's a lot of strategy behind who and where they send money to. And I'll give it to you very simply. And this is not a factual thing. I just want to give you an illustrative thing. If Israel is producing certain medications which are keeping a lot of Americans alive, just as an example, and there is a threat that Israel gets wiped off the map by Iran, as an example. And then if that happens, then certain medication, technology, and chips, which are very, very, very vital for your level of life here in the United States, are required. Do you then still think that maybe sending 10 billion to keep those medical research biolabs alive, do you still think that that's a lot of money in context?
But going back to your example, you're acting as if, like, Iran, didn't they try to attack Israel and they got shot down, like, right away? It's one of those things where it's
that night cost $10 billion.
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
But my point
One
is,
night. One
But
night.
can I say something?
One night.
You bring up some valid points here. And anytime you spend money, I would assume there's an ROI on the time you're spending. So there's a difference between spending and investing. So when you're investing the $19 billion to Israel, where's that money actually going? All right. Well, did you know there's actually arrangement for that money to make a U-turn right back to the military-industrial complex for them to go buy
the contracts, the military contracts, exactly.
the Iron Dome. So the money just comes right back to the United States. Now, the Ukraine situation, that's a whole nother conversation, because Ukraine is not even an ally with the United States. Most people cannot tell you where Ukraine is on a map, and we've been fighting a war in Ukraine for the last 2 years. Okay, newsflash, it's near Russia. But the amount of money we're giving Ukraine, that to me is like, because they're saying, look, we're opening up a whole can of words here, because I do want to focus on the United States, not Ukraine, which is essentially the whole point of this conversation, America first, not Ukraine first.
Yeah. America first.
Israel at the very least is an ally, as contentious as that situation is.
I think
you want to talk about chips, the only reason we give two shits about Taiwan is because of the
chip.
number one semiconductor chip factory country in the world. So do we really care about Taiwan, or do we care more about China not getting their hands on Taiwan?
I think the way that I look at it is I look at the country like I would look at a company. And the CEO and his leadership are making decisions of what they should do with the money. And we are seeing the results of what's happening. Now, if you don't like how they're spending the money, vote in for a different CEO. I mean, I think it becomes a simple...
Well, thank you for the segue.
But again, I think my whole thing is defending the average American.
Speaking of the CEO, I want to get your guys' opinion on this. We got some polls about who would do better with the economy. Before you show the polls, you might have heard we're about 6 months away from, wait for it, the most consequential election of our lifetime.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear that every 4 years, by the way. But this is a pretty important election, just like every election is. But this is a pretty big one.
Yes.
By just your opinions, who do you think most Americans think, or give your own opinion if you want to be political, think will do a better job on the economy? Go ahead, Yinka.
I'll be the first controversial one because I don't think the individual president sitting in the White House is going to have the largest impact to what the economic situation looks like on ground. Based on the system of government that we have a Senate, we have a House of Reps, we have the Treasury, we have different systems in place that doesn't rely on one person.
Everyone's pulling different levers, correct.
But more importantly,
the buck stops with the CEO.
We have the other CEOs of the thousands of small businesses and all the corporations who have a bigger impact than the president of the United States. That's my opinion.
Thank you for your diplomatic opinion.
It's true.
And I actually agree with you.
It's true.
That Janet Yellen just came out and made a statement that she says that the Fed operates completely independent from the president, as they should.
Right.
But my question to you was, who do you think most Americans trust with the economy?
I think most Americans might poll and trust Trump, but I'm not sure there's enough data to prove that is a factual statement. Simply because the system in place that we talked about capitalist society just now, really relies on a lot of CEOs, the corporations, how they do business, and our innovation side, right? We have a lot of innovation that creates jobs. That's not the president of the United States just saying, I'm gonna create this social media and create jobs, or create this manufacturing and create jobs. I think there's a lot of innovation in our economic system that creates all these opportunities, creates the GDP that you talk about. And the debt is not a result of those CEOs, as you already know. So I'll segue into saying the frustration of the young generation, Gen Z, is when they see all these subsidies going out to other countries, they in turn internalize that and ask the question, why can't we get more solutions for our problems here? So now that could be a presidential conversation, right? To solve some of the local problems, some of the national problems.
So Yinka.
Yes.
Who you going with? Trump or Biden better on the economy? Say one name.
Third party.
Stop it.
I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle right
now. When are you running for Congress, buddy?
Next year.
Diplomat. Awesome thoughts. Jordan Welch, what's your answer on this?
I feel like...
What do you think would be better for the economy based on this poll we're going to show you from the American people?
Yeah, I feel like unless I live in an echo chamber, it seems like everybody around me is tired of Joe Biden being the president.
Okay.
And I think that's important because you need the people feeling like they like their leader and they feel like they're proud to be in this place. And I think even if you look at sports teams, like if you got a strong quarterback behind the team, everybody is more hyped to be a part of that team. So I think Trump does that really well. You could talk about some of his policies and all that stuff, but he's a really powerful leader. And he knows how to get the people going. And when a city...
This is like a Kanye song. He gets the people moving.
It's provocative. Gets the people going.
He's definitely provocative and definitely gets them going.
There you go. Marcel.
So, yeah.
Who do you think? You think Trump?
Trump, for sure.
Better for the economy? Why?
So I feel like I have been living here for 10 years. And I feel like I need to work way harder to get the things that I want to help my family. Than before. Of course, it's a selfish
before the pandemic, you mean?
Yes.
That's why.
It's the pandemic has a bigger reason behind too. So I think with Trump we will be able to see things clear. things that we are not able to see now because we are all busy, we are all stressed out, we are all depressed, we are all looking for the after, you know, and we are kind of like blind to see the reality. So I feel like little by little people are waking up and seeing that Trump
What do you think the
the
American
biggest.
people trust the most with the economy?
Trump. I think
That's
Trump,
it?
Yeah.
But you didn't ask her who she trusted. You asked me who I trusted.
Well,
Who do you
I
trust?
think I think Trump does. I
Okay.
think he represents a strong forward front leader for the country. I
And
think
that's what we
if
need.
you have someone like that leading the way, the level of the other countries respecting your country is different. I think today with how Joe Biden is leading the country, he's just a puppet at this point. He doesn't really have a say. I do think it is also influence, but if you think about it, I would rather have somebody who's a successful business owner who's also filed for bankruptcy at one point in his life lead the way in the economy because he has that business type of background. You know, he's, you know, maybe not the most nicest guy, and I'm okay with that because I don't want my leader to be nice. I want my leader to be a leader.
Strong.
And yeah, I think Trump definitely represents that. I even think with this election, I've seen so many people, even some of the celebrities, which is kind of nice, they're waking up and they're saying, hey, I think we should talk a little bit about Trump. Look, you see Sexy Red, she's super ratchet, but she's a Trumper. And it's now allowing that community to be like, maybe I can consider the orange guy.
You know, listen, if Sexy Red advocated,
No, but how
you guys
crazy
need to
that
really
look,
wake
Kodak
up.
Black. You see this community that has essentially being a big reason why we went this
So
way.
the biggest idiots in the
It's a-
world are voting for Trump.
No, but it's not
Vote
about
Trump,
that. It's not
2022.
that. It's just these are representatives of the community that needs the most
What do you
help.
think we better on the economy?
Obviously, Trump. I mean, listen, they both racked up a lot of debt. I mean,
Right.
Trump, I think,
Bingo.
collectively racked up like more
Sure.
debt than any other president prior. However, when we look at like actual action steps that we can take to get ourselves out of this, I think it comes back to more than just a strong leadership presence. It comes back to policy as
Right.
well.
Yes.
At the end of you say that you're somewhere in between. I think with this DEI system that we have in place under Joe Biden, if this continues to progress the way that it is, we're not going to have a meritocracy anymore. And the meritocracy and the people who are competent, people say that it is a hierarchy of control. It's a hierarchy of competence. The most competent people typically tend to find their way to the top unless they're in a socialist system. And that's what we're going to find ourselves in if we continue under the leadership of Joe Biden. You
That's
disagree.
not-
You're shaking your head.
That's
but
not true. That
Sir,
is a
why-
false
why is it?
narrative.
Go ahead, Yinka.
Everyone who's been anti-DEI has used this narrative as if to say DEI eliminates all meritocracy. It doesn't. It actually doesn't. It doesn't eliminate it. Now, the point of
What
the
do you
matter
mean
is
entirely? Or
no, it doesn't eliminate
It doesn't affect it.
and this goes back to my earlier conversation. And again, I'm probably the wrong person to speak about this because I'm not a descendant of a slave from the United States. But I am, however, black. I don't know if you guys noticed, but
You are?
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. This is not a South Beach tan.
Stop it.
Man,
The point I want to make is that because our systems is what governs your success rate in this country, just like my friend here mentioned about licenses and things of that nature, those policies about giving several people opportunities matter. A different class people should get a different opportunity because of wherever they live. There's people who may never get opportunities just because of where they live, where they come from.
Sure.
Did you know at some point in time, because of your zip code of where you lived, you were denied loans? Now, so to her point,
gerrymandering,
to her
redlining,
point-
there is some state.
To her
Yeah,
point,
of course.
even if you were a great citizen and you were a great credit score holder, because of where you lived, you would not get certain loans. Basically preventing you from attaining wealth. So there's millions of people who are here in this country right now who are descendants of slaves who never had the opportunity to own homes 40 years ago. So they are behind, in fact, now. So we can make the argument that, okay, work harder, pull your bootstraps and all this semantics. The point of the matter is there's an inequality in the system already that you just can't solve by propping up everybody who's already successful. And whether or not that's DEI, I'm not going to advocate for any specific policy, but nobody has found a policy solution to that yet. And that happens everywhere in the world, by the way. This is not a United States problem.
Okay.
There's also been more millionaires created recently, like brand new millionaires than any time before in history, a lot of them coming from the United States. So what do you have to say to that? Yes, I agree. You can't just solve everything by saying, hey, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. But a lot of the most inspirational stories in America come from the type of people that you're talking about. They come from people who came from
inspiration
nothing.
is financial strategy junk. It's literally financial strategy junk. Inspiration doesn't do anything in the real world. I could be inspired.
I'm saying but for those people.
I could be inspired in a conference and I could go out to the street, and when I get punched in the face, like Mike Tyson says, I come back to reality. What happens in reality is policies matter. So you have to go out there, implement real policies. Look at what you have, look at the problems that you have. Now, how you do the policy is up to the president, but you have to look at the problems. Inspiration doesn't do anything. There's people who have been, for decades, centuries, prevented from attaining wealth. This is not, I'll give you a perfect example.
From all of those classes, there's been people who've been able to rise from the depths of that disparity compared to places like China, compared to places, these socialist and communist places where those people don't even have the opportunity to do that. The fact that some of the most inspirational stories in America, the reason why they're inspirational, I'm not saying inspiration should be the motive. I'm saying these people are inspirational on the basis that they came from nothing. And by virtue of those people's stories, they're literally disproving what you're saying right now. Is it the vast majority? Maybe not. But these case studies exist, and they wouldn't exist in socialist countries by comparison.
So we're talking about the exception. That would be like me going to a high school and telling 50 kids that if you work hard every day in this gym, you will be like Michael Jordan.
It's the same thing as gym memberships. Most people don't get fit.
That is an unrealistic expectation because he's the exception to the rule.
Most people who go to the gym, who pay for a gym membership, don't get fit.
When you find somebody that is an exception to the rule, you can't use that to govern everybody else. That
There's a small percentage of people who achieve anything in anything in life.
Do you think DEI has gone too south? Do you think it's gone too far? Do you think it's become a business now?
Let me tell you something. Every policy has some level of corruption embedded in it. I'm not saying it's a perfect system. I'm not advocating that it's a perfect system. I'm just saying to dismiss it as a stipend or some charity is not a fair and accurate description of what this program is supposed to do. Now we could argue how it could be fixed. We could argue maybe it should be replaced by. There's so many ways to go with this. But to say that somehow this is a equality of outcome strategy is not fair to me.
Well, here's what I'll say, and great debate here. America's bipolar. And I asked the conversation about Trump or Biden is better for the economy. Now you two are arguing about DEI, respect. But let's bring it into the equilibrium right here. Every 4 to 8 years, America has a choice of what to do. And we go from Democrat to Republican, but that's the same for every issue. Whether it's feminism on the far left, and then it swings all the way to red pill, and then it's down with the patriarchy, up with the matriarchy, DEI. Now DEI must go. It's all about finding a happy medium, an equilibrium, and a balance here.
100%.
Is it true that certain minorities have been discriminated against for years? Yes. But also, isn't it true that now DEI has taken over, and now white people are the most discriminated segment of society? That is actually almost very true. And just like happened in South Africa, you talked about that. So it's about finding a balance and finding an equilibrium.
Agreed.
The reversion to the mean. So that's what happens with DEI. DEI, United Airlines, listen, we're going to implement DEI policies. Moving forward, we're United Airlines. 50% of all pilots are going to be women. Oh, yes. Hey, by the way, what percentage of pilots are currently women? Oh, only 10%? We fucked up. We messed up here. Hey, by the way, Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. So here's what we're going to do for the Seven Dwarves. Well, we can't just have dwarves. We can have a tall dwarf. We can have a short dwarf. We can have a fat dwarf. We got to find an Asian dwarf. You got to find a dwarf who's gay but's also in a wheelchair. This is fucked up. Good luck finding that. This is the problem with DEI. Is that when you have these qualifications or these boxes that you need to check or these numbers that you need to hit or quotas, it's very hard to do. Hey, 50% of people moving forward have to be black female. Hey, by the way, what percentage of the country is black female? 7%. We got a problem here, Chuck.
But can we say the intention of something could later be corrupted by the implementation? I think we're mixing the idea with how it was implemented. I'm not sure that the idea in itself is a bad thing. I'm saying maybe the implementation was not great. Maybe it's been corrupted through our own systems in place. So,
I mean, if you just look at the college campuses right now, it's insane what the DEI, socialist, leftist, woke agenda has done to these college kids. It's insane. Go ahead.
We got to reel it back to the beginning because you said you wanted people to come to this live and get richer and more successful. I would argue that focusing on the political matters of the U.S. is worse for you if you want to get rich. It actually does nothing for you. I'm probably the least politically inclined person on this panel, and I've been able to make plenty money.
Jordan
I honestly don't even know what the DEI is, and they're gonna flame me for that in the chat.
Great, good. But you know what? I'm gonna. I mean, by the way, round of applause for Jordan. I'll tell you why I like this answer.
I make money.
Although he's got 2 passports that's coming his way right now. Good. Remember your friends. It's true. There's some validity to what you're saying. Before I give you that answer, we don't all get a chance to talk about this. I'll give you the next one. Show the results of the economy real quick. This is what the country feels will happen in the economy. Trump's up 20%.
Thank God.
He's up 20% on the economy. He's up 20% on the border, which is a shit show. Donald Trump, who people thought were literally insane, is up 20% on mental and physical strength, health.
Look at their photos.
But Joe Biden is up on the abortion issue.
Is that saying this is based off 600 people?
What's that?
Where?
Oh, it's
600 registered
small
voters.
sample
No,
size.
Small sample. That's the Wall Street Journal.
And it's on Fox News.
That's on Fox News.
No.
That's on Fox News.
Before we do this, this is a
to
Wall
party.
Street Journal poll. So, guys, these numbers will change, but it's pretty shocking what's going on here. But Jordan Welch hit it, and I said it. I say it before, and I'll say it again. Are elections important? Sure. Right? Who's in the White House important? Sure. But you said there's a lot more important factors out there. CEOs of corporations, Congress, who's the Treasury, who's at the chairman of the Fed, Jerome Powell, Janet Yellen. My dude Jordan, millionaire, 26, can't even tell you what DEI is. Why? Because he's not focused on what's going on at the White House. He's focused on what's going on at his house. And that's what I encourage people to do. We're so polarized right now. We have so many political issues. There's things that you can, here's how you need to focus. Things that matter and things that you can control. Does it matter? Yes. Can you control it? No. Can you control it? Yes. Does it matter? No. Where those two things intersect like a Venn diagram, that's where you should focus. Focus on where things that matter that you can control. You can control what happens at your house. You can't control what happens at the White House. I say this all the time. Now, we talked about, listen, I was broke as shit in 2006 under George Bush. In 2007, 2008, for the first time in my life, I made $100,000 under George Bush. I got richer under Obama, I got richer under Trump, and I got richer than I've ever been under Biden. And guess what happens? Whoever the next president is, I'm gonna get richer than that. Because it doesn't matter who's in the White House, whether it's red, whether it's blue, focus on the green. And yes, certain presidents can pull the levers and do all that. But at the end of the day, this is why it's called personal finance. This is why it's called personal responsibility. This is why it's called self-reliance. This is why it's called self-esteem. This is why it's called individual responsibility, because it's on you. The president ain't gonna help you. Joe Biden ain't showing up to your house. Trump's showing up to your house. If you're, since I started doing money content 10, 15 years now, do you know that 2/3 of America have been living paycheck to paycheck under every single president? You know this, Yinka. Oh, under Biden, America, 2/3 are living in paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, it was also the same under Trump. Oh, yeah, it was also the same under Obama.
And it's not going to change.
And it's not going to change. So if you're looking for the president to bail you out, you got another thing coming, buddy. Focus on your money, save that money, save your house, because the White House won't save you. With that being said, let's move on to the next topic. Yes. Guys, there's this thing called crypto. Oh. Have you heard of it? Rand, crypto banter, man. So, crypto. We talked about focusing on the headlines, what's going on in the headlines. If you focus on what's going on in the headlines, bro, crypto's on fire right now. Or crypto's a complete scam, depending on what headline you're focusing on. We've seen what happened with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. This week, just alone, we're going to show some stories in a second. By the way, the reason that I'm teeing this up, we've had some very credible people on our channel. Michael Saylor, we've interviewed him multiple times. Every time Michael Saylor comes to the podcast, you know what I do? buy another Bitcoin. Thanks, Mike. We have Anthony Pompliano on the show, very credible. And today we've got Rand Neuner.
Yes.
He's in the house, highly credible source. But here's some, show Rand, go ahead. It's okay to show him on the, yeah, there he is. Pan out, guys. The DOJ, this is an interesting thing. There's a guy called Bitcoin Jesus. He's out here. Bitcoin Jesus, the DOJ charges Bitcoin Jesus Roger Ver worth $48 million in tax fraud, underreporting Bitcoin earnings. He was arrested in Spain and extradition is sought by the United States. He failed to disclose his ownership of 131 Bitcoins. Real quick, do 131,000 times 60,000.
No, 131,000.
131,000, correct. Did I say that?
Bitcoin.
You said
Fact check me. 131,000. Marcel, help me out here. What does that number say?
131K.
131K. There it was. Thank you. That was in 2014 when he renounced his U.S. citizenship. Okay, do you have that number?
No.
Does anybody know how to use
It's
a
a
calculator?
lot of money.
131 times 60,000. Go ahead.
That's
Flip
a
your
lot of
calculator
money.
that way.
lot.
He could face jail time previously, served jail time for selling explosives. That is
10 billion.
$7.8 billion. Pretty insane. At the same time, as Bitcoin Jesus is convicted of tax fraud, the biggest platform, the largest cryptocurrency platform in the world, Binance, their founder, CEO, I want to say, CZ, what does CZ stand for?
Changpeng Zhao.
Changpeng Zhao.
Changpeng Zhao.
He was sentenced to 4 months for money laundering. And quote unquote, we can show this article.
He kinda got a
Despite
good
wealth,
deal.
power, or status, there he is right there.
It's from our website.
No person, regardless of wealth, check out valuetainment.com,
Shane.
is immune from prosecution or above the laws of the United States. That's a U.S. judge to Zhao. We're actually going to show you where Bitcoin is today, and we couldn't be luckier to have Rand here.
Yeah.
But also Jordan, that's made a lot of money in crypto. Explain what is going on in the crypto markets
I got
today.
a question for you, Adam.
Yeah.
Would you do 4 months for $6 billion?
Six?
Any day of the
600.
week.
$600 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
6, that's what he's worth?
So
No, I think that math was
so-
wrong. It said 6 million.
let's
on my
reverse it.
No, no,
No,
no.
no, no,
But there's
it's
a
got
difference
way
in
more
Bitcoin
six.
Jesus and what CZ is.
Let's-
No,
let's-
let's
let's
So here's what I want to do. Bitcoin is at where today?
48, 50, 58.
59,000.
Yeah.
So we just did the math there. You've got Bitcoin. I've got Bitcoin. You probably have way more Bitcoin than me. I've got Bitcoin.
I was talking about something
Jordan, you
else.
got Bitcoin. You got
course.
crypto.
I got a
You got
little
You're a
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin guy.
I have
You got-
crypto.
You got crypto.
I got a little Bitcoin.
You got a
That's
little
great.
bit.
That's that means
Coin.
that out
You
of
got-
Bitcoin,
Okay.
Ethereum.
Just explain what's going on from a macro perspective in the marketplace, where Bitcoin is now. There was just a Bitcoin halving. What can we expect by the end of the year, 2025?
I think you gave me the
Drop some knowledge.
You gave me the perfect segue. You started talking about inflation. You started talking about the US debt repayments. You started talking about how we're all unhappy with the way that the current leadership is spending running the country and the state of the financial health of the country. But then you brought it back to individuals that are getting charged for individual crimes that they may or may not have committed. So CZ has been proven guilty, but Roger Ver still has to have his day in court.
Yep.
And he may or may not be guilty. So I think let's not conflate the fact that there may be bad actors in this industry with how amazing the industry actually is. Because it's very easy to say, oh, well, you know, Sam Bankman-Fried was a fraud. That's amazing, but he has nothing to do with the technology. He was one operator in the technology. That's like saying that if there's one bad actor in biotech, the entire biotech industry is a huge scam. No.
Yeah.
There are individual players.
What was the pharma bro? Well, remember him?
There was
Martin.
What was his name?
Martin Shkreli.
Yes.
Yeah, Martin Shkreli.
yeah.
What is the
Great point.
what is the
Scumbag,
what
right?
is the
Total.
the girl that pretended she had the blood
needle,
the blood
the blonde
she's
Oh, the blonde lady?
the blonde lady.
And-
She went to she's serving time.
Theranos,
She did
Theranos.
Theranos. What
The
was it?
Theranos found
Never
her.
heard
So I'm
of
saying,
Oh, yeah,
I
true,
think
yeah.
let's not conflate, let's not mix the fact that this industry is a great industry and Bitcoin is a great investment with the fact that there are some unscrupulous players in the industry. In terms of the industry, let me bring it back to you guys. You guys spoke about how there's so much money printing, how inflation is out of control, how governments are aiding the wrong countries, and you guys weren't happy with it. And unfortunately, what they're doing is they're doing this with a currency that they control. If they want to print more US dollars to fund this great deficit that they have, switch the money printer on. And that's what's happened in a long time. And the reason why you're all complaining about inflation is because they decided that they want to carry on printing more and more money. And you have no say about that. So how do you protect yourself from that? You got to get yourself into money that the government doesn't control, where you know exactly how much the inflation's going to be. They can't just switch on the tap and create more money. Because remember that when they have more money, inflation goes up and things become more expensive. And that's the problem. And if you want to tap out of that, there's a very simple way to tap out of it. You can buy Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is a money that is not controlled by governments, where we know the inflation rate is set at a certain amount. We can talk about that in a couple of seconds. No one can change the inflation rate. It's of very scarce and limited supply. And it's currently following a technological uptake. So you have if you're getting in now, you're pretty much getting in before the rest of the world into a money with a limited supply and an increasing demand and no possibility of inflating the supply. And that to me, regardless of whether it's Bitcoin or anything else, but right now let's talk about Bitcoin, that to me just sounds like a very sound investment.
It's still not realistic though.
It's
It's not realistic at all. It's actually, again, we take this exception to the rules and we blow them up like crazy. Almost everybody on this planet has Bitcoin. Why is that? Because we could afford it. How many Bitcoins total exist today?
21 million. No, today less. There will be 21 million.
Think about that number and ask yourself how many people are alive adults in the United States today. Can they all buy Bitcoin?
That's the beauty of Bitcoin. Because you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin.
You could buy a fraction of it. But there's still a scarcity.
But there's still only 21 million.
How many control that 21 million? Like what percentage?
You have whales.
Hold on.
You have whales who control most of it. And it's unrealistic to suggest that a cryptocurrency, which I admire, could replace a fiat currency for exchange and medium of wealth building.
That's not what it's for.
Adding to that.
Hold on.
With respect.
Let him make his point.
Because the point that he made about why Bitcoin is so good is because it's scarce. So you can't now say everybody should invest or buy. Even if you're buying a fraction, it's still not a means. The total market capitalization of Bitcoin today is less than that of Apple. That means Bitcoin is a very tiny fraction of the financial market today. It can't solve the problem of financial wealth at all.
But this comes down to supply and demand.
With respect, it would diversify your portfolio so you could have Bitcoin as part of it just in case the country goes crazy
Jordan,
with printing money.
Respond to this. Hold on, let Jordan respond.
I want to let you get your point off because you got something to say, and then I'll...
No, go ahead. You have Bitcoin. I want you to respond to this. I'll go back to Rand.
No.
Well, the purpose of Bitcoin is to serve the same as gold, and it's a store of value. Bitcoin is not meant to swap out your fiat U.S. dollar.
I agree.
It's a storage of
but
value.
Did you hear what he said?
You were just arguing, though, that it was to replace the modern exchange.
That's what he said. I was addressing his point because he's saying because we printed so much currency that Bitcoin is a good replacement. And I'm saying those two things are not the same.
No, what he's saying is not replacing it as a medium of exchange, but as a hedge and something that we can hold as the value, because we're holding the dollar as the reserve currency of the world when it's being when it's being created every single day. That's our reserve currency.
Right.
Will Bitcoin replace that? Maybe, maybe not. But we need something stronger. We need a harder money that we can use as the basis of our
You're
finances.
You're a financial guy. Let me ask you a question. If a company has a stock and the stock is $1,000 stock, and they split the stock and it becomes a $10 stock, is it the same stock?
It is the same stock.
And if you don't have $1,000 and you can then buy one for $10,
absolutely,
it's the same thing with Bitcoin. If a Bitcoin costs $50,000 and you can't afford to buy a Bitcoin, go and buy $5 worth of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is infinitely divisible, right?
Yes.
Which means that you can buy a small fraction of Bitcoin, which means that I have this. If I can afford a whole Bitcoin and he can't afford a whole Bitcoin, we have the same opportunity, equal opportunity to invest in that same Bitcoin.
Right.
In that same Bitcoin, which means that if I make 10% of my investment, because the US is printing more dollars and the amount of Bitcoin remains the same, both of us will make exactly the same 10%. Right. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, that you can buy it down to 18 decimal places.
Can I make a technical argument so
Sure.
that way we're all clear on what we're talking about? You're talking about, because the comparison you made is where I kind of jumped in. When you said because the country prints more money and therefore you should hedge your bets with Bitcoin, I'm telling you that that's not a realistic comparison. Why am I saying that? Bitcoin, we just pulled it up, is still based on a conversion to the US dollar. If the US dollar has no value, you're going to be replacing your Bitcoin at some point. When you sell it, what do you want back? When you sell your Bitcoin, what do you want back? For
USD.
No.
USD.
No. I want South African currency, gold. You can compare any currency to any currency. The fact that on this show, right now, we called it up in US dollars, it does not mean that Bitcoin has any relationship with the US dollar. If we were sitting in South Africa, we would have showed it against South African Rand. If we were sitting in Nigeria, we would have showed the Bitcoin price against the Naira. No, of course. In Japan, you look at it against the Japanese yen. We're in the United States.
I'm talking about the United States.
This is the United States show, and therefore we looked at it relative to the US dollar.
My point is, I'll simplify my point in one sentence. Our problems will not be solved by people using US dollar as a comparison to Bitcoin. If the US dollar has an issue because it's been overprinted and there's over circulation, Bitcoin is not going to solve that problem.
Which asset do you have right now that is truly scarce in your portfolio? Because you'll agree with me that if an asset is not scarce, if an asset is not scarce and you can create more of it, then for example, if you can create more US dollars, do you agree with me that the more US dollars they print, the less the US dollar becomes worth?
Absolutely, correct.
Okay. So which assets in your portfolio do you have today? You're a financial planner. You're a CPA,
I'm not a
right?
financial planner.
You're a CPA.
Right.
Which asset in your portfolio do you have that is truly scarce?
I wouldn't say there's anything that's scarce.
But scarcity...
Except for crypto.
Aha.
Now, however, let me go because Jordan asked me if I had gold. There's certain natural resources that are also scarce, like gold, diamonds.
Wait, how much gold? Gold is scarce.
Right.
I'll tell you what the difference is between Bitcoin and gold.
Tell me.
With Bitcoin, you know exactly how scarce it actually is. We know that every block, every 10 minutes, a certain amount of Bitcoin is going to come out that is fixed and cannot be changed by anyone. With gold, the better technology becomes, the deeper they can dig, and the more gold they can come out of.
Right.
Let me take it to the extreme.
Right.
One day, if technology does this, we will be able to get gold off asteroids out of this planet. Right. Which means that gold may not even be scarce anymore. So now I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you again.
I like that.
If scarcity equals value, and it does, we know that, right? If scarcity equals value, what is the only truly investable scarce asset in the world today?
I would say production equals value because there's shares of companies in the United States that have more value and has had more returns in their aggregate lifetime than Bitcoin.
In dollar-denominated returns.
All right, guys, I'm gonna cut you guys off because spirited debate, but unfortunately, we're geeking out on Bitcoin right now, and this is sort of the problem with Bitcoin, is that we go down this rabbit hole, and it's like scarcity. And now we're talking about asteroids. It's like, let's stay on Earth here, guys, for a second. By the way, we all have Bitcoin, right? So it's not like you're anti-Bitcoin. No. It's not like you also have US dollars. You also have money.
Not
you also have fiat currency.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Bullshit, Rand. You must have some American dollars or rands in South Africa. You're not 100% crypto.
Does he have any shares?
Why do you think I was asking about the credit card debt earlier?
No. I'm saying you have something.
The majority of my wealth is in
Thank you, but that means the minority is something else.
Yes.
You have a good amount of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Guys, Rand. Still pisses me off that you hate America. Still pisses me off. But here's my point, because I want to bring this back to reality, to the average person. Because what Yinka makes is a good point. He's not anti-Bitcoin. He's basically saying, listen, do you have Bitcoin?
A little bit of Bitcoin.
A little bit. Everyone. There's people that, I'm not calling you out.
I trade
There's
Forex.
There's people who are saying they have Bitcoin or they have like $7 worth of Bitcoin. Right. Let's just be real for a second.
That's great.
They want to look cool. No, is
that's a good start.
It's a great start. Thank you. The Bitcoin evangelist over here. It's got to start somewhere with the Bitcoin. But the reality is, you know, you got to crawl before you walk. You got to walk before you run. You got to run before you start running Bitcoin marathons. So for me, it's all about asset allocation. So for me, 10% of my wealth is in crypto. 80% of my wealth is in the U.S. stock market, in index funds, in S&P. You might say, what an idiot. Made me a millionaire. That's fine. You became a millionaire because of crypto. Awesome. What works for you? Different strokes for different folks. But still, for the average American who's living paycheck to paycheck, don't get it twisted. Cash is king. That's the foundation. Once you save up a decent amount of money, then you can start investing. Most people are living credit card to credit, paycheck to paycheck, have credit card debt. So for the average person to say, you got to get Bitcoin, homie, you got 50 grand of student loans, homie. Like, give it a second.
Yeah.
You got 10 grand in credit card debt. You owe 30 grand on your car. Relax, Captain Bitcoin. Give it a second. Pump the brakes. So there's different strokes for different folks, and there's different levels to this thing. So what I want to ask you is this, because here's what's going on, the reality in America. Because it's easy for a millionaire to be like, here's the advice, guys. Because most people just say, dude, what the fuck do I need to do? I am drowning in debt. I have 4 grand in my name and rent's coming due. So let's live in reality for a second, asset allocation. Here's some headliners. High schoolers, right? 85% of high schoolers want financial education, but schools don't offer it. Headline. 34% of adults pass a basic financial literacy quiz. 53% are unable to grasp what's the difference between a stock and a bond. 45% are confused about a 401k, and 28% are struggling with taxes. Now you throw Bitcoin in there. Bro, these guys can't do math. 19% of students turn to social media for financial information. All right. By the way, talk about 401k. Most people retire because they have a 401k. There's a 3-legged stool of retirement before Bitcoin came into the equation. 3-legged stool of retirement, you know this. There's Social Security. Good luck getting by on that. My mom and my stepdad are on Social Security. 2 grand a month. That's it. There's no that's where it stops. And they're saying that in the next 10 years that it can be sliced by 25%. So that's $1,500. You got that 401k stat? The next thing is a pension. Who here has a pension on this panel? Nobody.
Got rid of
Unless
those.
you're a cop, fireman, maybe a teacher. Who the hell has a pension? Maybe you play in the NBA, you get an NBA pension.
Maybe.
Those don't exist. But the third thing is personal savings and personal investments. This is where saving money, investing money, and yes, Bitcoin come to the equation. You have that 401k stat?
We have the article. You want the article or you
Just
want
throw the article. There it is.
Yeah. We are ready.
43% of Americans don't know what a 401k is. It's a retirement plan. So how the hell are you going to retire if you don't even know what the hell a retirement plan is? By the way, that's an employee-sponsored plan. If you work for a company that your employee doesn't even provide it, then you got to go do a Roth IRA or an IRA, individual retirement account. Most people, here's the shocking news, 17% can't spell IRA. 3 letters, motherfucker.
No way. You're lying.
I just made that up.
Okay,
but it's
I was
pretty
gonna
realistic.
say.
Close enough.
39% admit delaying financial healthy habits. 63% of couples believe learning about finances altogether to improve their financial situations. And then here's the coup de grace. If you could show that gambling article. America's young men have no clue what they're doing, so they're blowing their money like never before, and they're just putting it all on black.
Oh.
Right? And they're just gambling, and gambling has surged to a record $120 billion. If we don't have the article, we'll move on.
We have it.
So show it.
Show it.
There we go. The new way to get rich. There it is, gambling. I don't know who that guy is, but I promise you there's an article below it talking about gambling. And there it is, can't see it. Cool. So here's my question to the rich people on here. Because what you just said, like, you have no idea how much respect I have for you because you're an expert at something called Bitcoin. And I wish that I actually paid attention to my friend Adrian when he's like, invest in Bitcoin, invest in Bitcoin.
Right.
I was like, Bitcoins and blockchains and bitty bobs, enough with this. Eventually I succumbed and I gave him a good amount of money. Look at him now, look at you now, it's amazing. And I do have some Bitcoin, that's good. But I could have had more. But I've gotten rich from traditional avenues, 401ks, Roth IRAs, index funds. So what I want to get from the rich people on this panel, spit some knowledge to the people out there. What is the ideal asset allocation strategy? Meaning, save 10 grand, but then start a 401k, have a Roth IRA, do this, take a couple grand, put it in Bitcoin. What's actually realistic? Because just to tell people, buy Bitcoin and never think again, it's not going to work for the average person. So Yinka, go ahead. You can go first. What's realistic?
Since we're talking about 401k, I'll just start with this. What's realistic is everyone who has an employer should be going on their website of the employer today or calling their HR and saying, hey, by the way, do you guys have 401k and how much do you match? because that's a realistic.
Because that's free money.
Free money.
Yeah.
That's a realistic way
Ain't nobody money better than money than free money.
generating free money into your coffers. Now, when you get into that point, now you decide how much should you be put into your 401k. But the first thing you said, people don't know about 401k. First thing they need to call their HR, go to their company website, find out if they have a 401k, and the next thing they should be doing is putting money in 401k and getting that match, because the match is free money. By the way, 401k's growth rate over the period of your 20-year, 30-year employment could become millions of dollars, and you could become a millionaire just from putting money in 401k. If you put money in there.
But again, 43% of Americans don't even know what it is.
So for majority of Americans, I would say get your company's information in 401k, make sure you put money in there, get the free match before you invest in Bitcoin.
Got it.
And,
Go ahead, Astrid.
For majority.
So first things first, I always tell people is make sure you have an emergency fund in place. So before you even think about investing, make sure that, hey, if anything, I would go into financial hardship, I have money stashed away to cover for those unexpected expenses. So you got that out of the way. Now, like you said, look into a 401k. If you work by yourself, I had a friend actually who said, hey, I work a 9 to 5, but I also am a part-time 1099 influencer, right? She's making good money. She's like, my employer does not offer me a match. Should I still put in my 401k? And I said yes, because again, there's tax advantages to that account. Again, you pre-tax, that means your adjustable income for that year, you pay less. The government can tax you less. So again, another thing I remind people too is that a lot of these accounts, retirement accounts, an IRA, a 401k, a Roth IRA, these are just types of accounts that provide different tax advantages. You actually have to invest that money that you put into those accounts into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever it is, because a lot of people will put a money into a 401k or a Roth IRA and then just leave it there, and it's not making any money for them, because again, it's a type of account. It's not the actual investment. So please make sure you invest your money if you put into those accounts. Aside from that, I also think a big focus should be diversification. So again, whether that's crypto, whether that's gold, whether that's real estate, stocks, again, index funds is usually something I recommend. It's like, the key is not everybody can withstand the volatility of like cryptocurrency. So it's really dumb to gamble your money and say, not with crypto, but just say like gambling, put your money all on black and then expect to become rich, because you're probably not.
Jordan, I want to learn from you for a second. I want you to own this segment. You were how old when you started making YouTube content? You were how old when you started making some money? You were how old when you started investing in crypto? You were how old when you became a millionaire? Give us your trajectory.
Yeah, I started making videos when I was around 12 years old. I made my first million at 19. And I would say when it comes to investing, if you're broke, forget investing in stocks, forget investing in crypto, forget investing in 401ks. There's only one thing you should invest in if you're broke, and that's education, because skills pay the bills. What are you going to invest if you don't have any money coming in, and you're not going to get money from trading some meme coin or from do some day trading of penny stocks? You got to have a skill set, and that only comes from having education. So buy books, pay for a mentorship, pay for some coaching, pay for a course, whatever it is. I think there is no better investment for you to make if you're broke than education, because, you know, that's what got me to where I'm at, is self-education. So for me, if I was broke today, starting over from zero, I would be looking at what can I buy to give me knowledge, because let's say the worst recession come around tomorrow, all your stocks, your 401k going in the trash, your crypto might go in the trash, but they can't take away the skills that you developed over the years. So it's like,
love it, bro.
I agree. That's a good one.
Yeah, I say this thing all the time. Someone say, if I had only $100 to invest, where should I put the $100? I was like, go buy 5 books.
Yeah, oh God.
Straight up.
There's that
Because
saying,
$100
like,
are going to get you rich,
you don't need to
but
buy
reading
it.
5 books
I think
could potentially do it.
The answer
Go
is
ahead, Rand.
invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Invest in yourself. It's in education, learning, reading books. I have a partner, Jordan and I, we spoke about my partner. He's not a very well-educated guy. When he was down and out, you know what he did? He switched on YouTube. And he immersed himself in YouTube videos. You don't need to buy a book. You don't need to buy a university degree. You don't need to buy college education. Everything is available free and online. So to say that I don't have enough money to invest in myself, you can't say that. You can get any education that you want online today. And if you look hard enough, you can get it for free. You can get Harvard courses for free. You can get everything you want for free. It's a mindset about investing in yourself. And so I think maybe let me just give you my theory around diversification and investing. Number one, if you got debt, you can't invest. Let's just get that off the table. If you got debt, you cannot invest.
Yeah.
Then it depends on how old you are and what level you are in your life. And so to tell people how much to put into Bitcoin, how much to put into stocks, and how much to put into IRAs, it's different for every person. You know, if I'm 20 years old and I've got no responsibilities, then I can take huge risks. Whereas if I've got 20 years old and I have 4 kids, then take different risks. I'll never forget, I was once talking to a bunch of entrepreneurs, and the guy asked me, he said to me, I want to become an entrepreneur. And I looked at him and I said, well, the first thing you got to do is you got to quit your job. Because if you want to be an entrepreneur, you can't be an entrepreneur in the closet. You're either an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur. And he said, you know, I want to quit my job. The thing is, I got 8 kids. And then it hit me that the answer is not the same for everyone. And that's why I say, I think the one thing that is true for everyone is don't have any debt. And the second thing is invest in yourself. And the rest will take care of itself.
So you're a zero debt proponent? Zero debt?
If you're investing, you can.
Not rich people debt, bro. He's talking about
He's
like
not talking about
That's what I'm saying. Consumer debt.
Right. If you owe
right?
a couple of grand on your credit card, and now you're going to go and take out money to go and
Okay.
You're
invest
talking
in
about
Bitcoin or
consumer
stocks,
debt.
that's
I'm
different.
glad you clarified that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not
no, look,
like
as a
house mortgage or
business person, you're always doing risk-return calculations in terms of the debt and the cost of debt versus what you're investing it in. But most people that are watching this are looking to invest, and they say they're going to go to their credit card and take out credit card debt at whatever credit card debt is, 20-30%,
and invest
and then put in the stock market, and then wonder at the end of the day why they'll end up going broke.
No. All right, let me hone in here, and then everyone's gonna get a chance to plug something. You guys are absolutely right. You nailed it. You got to start somewhere. Skills pay the bills. Degrees pay fees oftentimes. And there's levels to this game. One of the most important books I ever read was The Boglehead's Guide to Investing. Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, which is one of the largest mutual fund, index fund investing companies in the world. I think there's a market cap of, $8 trillion. They're doing okay. And I'll never forget, I was like, all right, cool, I made some money, I've saved, I've invested, I'm doing my thing. And I read this book. And he's now passed since COVID, but the book hyped you up. It's like, you ready to invest? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to invest. You ready to invest? I'm like, let's go. They're like, you're not ready yet. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Do these 3 things first. Absolutely right. Have a game plan for your money that's called a budget. And you got to know what's coming in the door and what's going out the door. Income versus expenses. You have to understand that. Number 2, you have to, in order to win the money game, you can't lose the money game. And debt is arguably the worst 4-letter word known to man, because that's your money going backwards, especially high credit card debt. We have an Amscot around the street here, 400% for payday loans and ridiculous consumer loans. Absolutely ridiculous consumer loans like that. Insane. And then number 3, my catchphrase is you have to save that money. If you have $2,000 to your name, don't start investing, because you're gonna need that for bills, you're gonna need that for groceries, you're gonna need that for rent. I recommend that for most people out there, save 10 grand. Prove it to yourself that you can save 10 grand. If you can't do that, then you're not equipped to do investing. But then you can start investing. And you can do what Jordan started doing, start investing in crypto. You can start investing in your 401k. You can start getting your match like Asher talked about, or you become a Bitcoin millionaire like our friend Rand, or you can just be beautiful and hot like Marcel and have guys taking you out. It's fine.
Hey,
it's all good.
But don't wait
not
till you
true.
have $10,000 to start pursuing the thing that you've been wanting to do.
I agree with that. But here's what I'll say this, and I firmly believe this. Now, right now, is the best time ever to be alive. Straight up.
Straight up.
Welcome to the world in 2024.
Facts.
It is now the easiest time ever to get rich and make money. Welcome to the world.
Facts.
And despite the trajectory, the United States is still the greatest country to be living in the world. I'll go visit you in South Africa, but I'm going to stay here in America. That's what's going on here. So that's all I got to say is save that money. It's been an awesome show. Thank you. We didn't get to the AI stuff. I apologize. We'll cover that next time. And Andrew Tate, we're rooting for you, buddy. We had an update about you, but he's going to trial soon. We'll cover that next time as well. So anyways, this is amazing. Roundtable, let people know where to find you. Yinka, go ahead.
Well, I'm on Instagram, yinkmyjek.cpa, and my message is very simple. I'm trying to bring down those percentages of people who are not aware of financial opportunities, who are not aware of 401ks, who are not aware of how to use credit the right way. who are being misinformed about insurance and other things that seem to be there to take money away from them, and specifically credit cards and bad debt. I think there's an opportunity there, and all of us are living in a great time.
The way that I met Yinka was an amazing story. We both got brought into Overtown, the hood in Miami, to teach the youth about personal finance. Yep. We've been friends ever since. That was awesome. It was awesome. Astrid, where can people find you? There's your camera right there.
Hi, I'm Astrid, aka FinTech Latina. So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok, and basically my social media talks all things personal finance. And also, if we didn't touch the AI subject, but if you want to learn about a job that I don't think will get ever replaced by AI, tech sales, which is what I currently do, please follow me to learn more. So.
Awesome. And I'm going to say a controversial statement. As much as he doesn't love America, Rand, you're the MVP of the show today because you fought with everybody.
Held his own.
And I loved it. Look, that was amazing. Where can people find you?
On that note, our business is called Crypto Banter. So we have a YouTube channel called Crypto Banter. It is we're on a mission to build the most profitable community in the world. We use many tools, one of them being crypto. You can also find me on Twitter at CryptoManRan. And thank
Crypto
you.
Man Rand.
Crypto Man Rand.
Marcel, you were lovely. You were classy. You gave a little insight about what's going on in Brazil. But if you want to get in touch about networking, hosting events in South Florida, this is your girl. Marcel, tell them where to find you.
So my Instagram is Vale Marcel. So it's VALLE and Marcel with 2 L's. And I'm actually talking about a lot how we can find the truth about what's going on and sharing a lot of good information. So I see you guys
Hit her up. And you know where to find Amy. Let them know, Amy.
Hey guys, you can find me across all platforms, Amy Dangerfield. Right now I'm really talking about cashless society, central bank digital currency, CBDC. I feel like it would have been really nice to talk about that in this conversation. Unfortunately, there wasn't an opportunity. But if you want to learn more about that stuff, you guys can follow me there.
Are you pro or against?
Very much against.
I hope so.
Completely against.
We agree on one thing.
And that is the reason why we're going
Next show.
You know where to find Nat. She's here. She's my co-host. She's here every week. She ain't going nowhere. But also shout out to Jordan Welch. Thank you, bro, for being back. What a young stud. What an inspiration for the young people out there. He was 12 years old doing videos. Started making videos. Got comfortable being uncomfortable. You didn't need to come from a background of video making. You just did it. Yeah. And look at you now. He just bought his mom a house.
Aww.
He's a stud. He's 26 years old. We're proud of you, bro. Love having you here.
Thank you, I appreciate
Let the people know where to find you.
Yeah, Jordan Welch on YouTube. I got an interview coming out with Patrick Bet-David this weekend, actually.
Okay.
Really?
I never met him. Tell me a little bit about this guy.
He's all right.
He's all right.
Yeah.
Well, PBD's the man.
Host? No,
We just had an amazing episode of PBD Podcast this morning that just came out. We do this. Oh, you can connect with me, with PBD, with Tom, with Vinny, the home team, with Marcel.
Not me.
Now
I'm
Amy's on it. We got to get Rand on it.
Let's
We're going to have to sign you guys up for Connect. You can find us there. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday live from Valuetainment Studios. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy America. Enjoy wherever you're living in the world. But make sure you save that money. We're out of here, guys. Enjoy it.